Hello, everyone, and welcome to the return of By the Numbers. This is like episode 89 of the second series. You can see that we've got some guests. Everyone always says, "Oh, why don't you get guests on the show? Why don't you get guests on the show?" So we're talking to the boys from the second best podcast in Counter-Strike.
I'll accept it.
Advantage.
For now, but I'll accept it.
You have to actually do a fucking podcast.
No, exactly.
I mean, if you want to
have to
overtake
accept
us.
it. Exactly, yeah.
So it's Davey, of course, and Semphis, and you're going to be like, well, where's Thorin? Well, he's just late. So the mystery over whether he's at the major or not will have to wait just a little bit. We'll talk to him about it when he finally gets here. But I thought we'd go live anyway and not keep the boys waiting around. So first things, how are you guys doing, and what the fuck is going on with Pika's Advantage?
Well, yeah, so I just I'm doing well, thanks for asking. But yeah, we're just doing I'm doing a full relaunch with it right now. I got tired of being a bad player and losing all the time's no fun, so I decided to fully I'm just done with that, and I've done like a full brand relaunch, and I'm making it like this full like content umbrella. It's not just going to be a podcast anymore. We have people making video content, and we're going to have the podcast every week. And it's going to be just like a whole thing now, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's what I'm like really going all in on now.
And what are you?
So yeah, so when I messaged you,
like Corey,
I'm just waiting for my contact still, man. I literally just got fitted for it a week and a half ago, and it didn't fit, so they have to send it back. And it's like, it's so custom that you have to wait like 1 or 2 weeks for them to like remake it and then send it. Like, it's not just like they just give you a new one, and it comes from the island near me. So I'm literally just waiting for a call, and then like
you keep forgetting that you had your eyes like completely fixed, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, once the contact goes on, like, it should be, well, then we'll see. Then I want to play some FPL and stuff and just see, did I suck because my eyes, or do I just suck? So that's
a big question.
So then we'll see, because I was having, like, I think Davey probably even remembers when I complained of like headaches and random shit, like, and I couldn't.
And he would always be like, "You guys can see him? How did you see him?" Like he couldn't see the people.
But then we would go over smokes in servers and stuff, and then I'd be like, I don't see that dot. Like, I would say that a lot. Like, I would be like, I don't see that lineup. Like, I don't see that line. And they'd think I'm crazy or like lying or something. But I was like, I don't know. I have to find my own lineup. Like, I don't know what to say. So we'll see.
Yeah, you got that Ricky disease. Remember that fucking clip where you like couldn't see that guy like on his fucking screen?
Oh yeah.
Like Warden had to fucking point it out for him, the old man. So yeah, well look, I'm glad.
And Vanilla WoW is coming, so
Oh yeah, well that's that then. You ain't even gonna be playing fucking Counter-Strike, right? Yeah. Although I think everyone's gonna fucking realize that nostalgia ain't what it used to be.
I never touched WoW. I never even touched it, so it's not even gonna be a problem for me.
I tapped out at like level 20 or something. I couldn't stand all the fucking virgins, all the turbo virgins, like saying, "Shit, the game doesn't even start till level 60." Oh, this is a shit game, then I'm out. Peace. Like, fuck it is. You know what I mean?
They are kind of right, if like, unless you like leveling.
Oh, sure.
But I played it back then.
I know that, right? I just can't be asked, like,
Yeah, I can't be fucking. I'm the same.
It is
I'm
a
the
grind.
Same.
If you don't like grinding, you should not play.
Like, I can't be bothered playing for 20 hours before I actually get to start playing. Like, I just can't be fucking bothered with that.
Yeah,
or even more. I don't know how many hours, but too many for me.
Way more than 20, brother.
Okay,
like,
way more.
20,
okay,
I'd have powered through. We're probably talking like 200, like, or something.
Now I can finally play the game. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, now the game has started, and I've actually slept, so I'm behind everyone else. All the
actually, if you really care about your time and money, you can just pay Chinese people to level your character.
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah, no, I remember about this.
You just gotta be maxed.
So look, we'll get in the show just before that, right? I hope this doesn't conflict with any sponsors you have.
Oh, don't you worry, we have no sponsors.
Excellent. So
you have nothing to worry about.
It actually works out well, Thorin not being here, honestly, because we're sponsored by. I love them. They've been great to me. Despite all of the, it was a big leap of faith for me to kind of go over and basically endorse and work with the gambling side. But they showed me everything they were doing, and showed me how legit they were, and how they had the licenses, and how it was super hard to get around and everything. And since then, they've like supported all of the content we've done, enabled me to pay Sam a salary, enabled me to pay for like video editors and all of that stuff, so the level of content gets better. So been a great sponsor to us. But Duncan obviously comes on this show, which is sponsored by them. And he had a Twitter spat with one of the guys.
Of course.
Yeah, well,
Of course.
Thorin's announced he's going to be doing a sponsor with, I can't remember the name of the company now, but like another, like I don't know if it's a betting site or something, or a case of some of skins. Yeah, right. But then one of the guys that just replied and said, "Wouldn't you rather work with us? Like, we'd love to get you on board as official sponsor." And Duncan just went, "Well, every time you fucking brought that up, you guys wasted my motherfucking time. So stick it up your ass." I'm like, Duncan, man, I have to do a plug. I have to do a
Your
plug.
face is literally next to a logo every time you do this show.
I know.
So you're
Like,
losing anyway. You're still promoting them.
So I have to do a plug, mate. Like every time we're doing the show, I have to do a plug. You've gone and fucking said that. This is what I mean about Duncan. People think that like, oh yeah, those two were fucking thick as thieves. Guys, right? You understand? He is his own man. He is very much. Nobody controls Duncan. He is an outrageous force of nature, and we just align more often than we don't. That's the relationship. So anyway, shout out to. Don't listen to what Duncan says. They're great. Anyway, let's do the news. Some stories that I'm glad you're here for. Actually, I always like to get pro thought processes about some of these roster moves that are going on. So Luminosity announced that they're benching Henny or N1 or however the fuck you want to say it. This comes after his twin Lucas obviously left to be a stand-in for MIBR. Came out a little bit of left field because I think a lot of people felt that this is a guy that's sort of integral to the lineup that they've got. You know, it's a very good lineup on paper. It's really underperformed, in my opinion, for what it is. You know, you've got Steele, Bolts, Phelps, Henny, and of course you had Lucas, but there was a guy, the guy Neckers is in there as well. So, you know, these are all very accomplished Brazilian players. You know, sure, they've played in that at various stages, you know, played in those top Brazilian teams, but never quite delivered on an individual basis or never been part of the truly great Brazilian teams, but all very good. And then it just comes, boom, we're just going to bench him, actually. And not only that, we're open to selling him. Interested parties should get in touch with us. So seems a bit strange to me. I don't know if it's a personality thing or a performance thing. I don't know if you guys have been in scrims and been playing against him lately or anything like that. And obviously, Corey, you've been recovering, so probably doesn't apply to you. But I was very surprised. I got to be honest. I think there's still a place for him in this team, and I think he's still a decent player.
Well, do we know who's replacing him, or like who's the like in theory replacement? Because I know that KNG's linked to MIBR, but if they could get someone like him, then I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Like I think KNG's probably better than Henny, but
yeah, sure.
But just removing him with no replacement, I don't feel like there's a lot of offers for them to choose from. Like it does seem like a weird move. I know that when they first came over and they were like that original Immortals that used to, you can ask Davey, these guys were maniacs. Like Henny would just fly out mid on train and just like get the quickest op 3K you've ever seen in your life. If he dies, they like just running through smokes and stuff, but it feel like they play safer now. Like everything got toned down a bit, and maybe that's why they're replacing him. Just that play style isn't what they want. I don't know.
I would assume based on the suddenness of it, and like you said, it came out of left field. Like this wasn't like a developing thing. It just sort of happened. Based on that and knowing the personalities in the team and the fact that Lucas has gone to MIBR now, I would say something happened within the team on a personal, like on a player-to-player level. I think probably somebody blew up. That's what I think happened. And they had some sort of
still good.
Yeah, I don't think this was like he's not playing well, we're gonna try to get somebody better. I don't think it was anything like that. I think this was a personality thing. Something went down. That's what if I was guessing, that's what I'd put my money. Like if I was betting, that's what I put my money on. That something went down within that team. I don't know if once his brother left, he started to get uncomfortable. Maybe like he didn't like maybe. Like if you're one of them, right, and you're having arguments with your teammates all the time, and one guy always, no matter what, will have your back in the argument. You know what I mean? Like that's a totally different dynamic. It's a totally different dynamic now, right? And I don't know enough about them personally to know like exactly what would have went down. Like I can't speculate, but if I was guessing, that's what I would say. That something happened within the team, some sort of personality, some conflict.
Well, I never understood what happened when the brothers split up anyway, because I thought I know in interviews they'd always said, "Oh, it's just a coincidence we always play with each other. We're actually open to playing apart." But
Okay.
yeah, I don't fucking buy that for a second. And I'm wondering if because it's so weird because the KNG thing's been all but announced, right? Like I would immediately have said. I mean, I even said it at the time that Henny will probably follow Lucas over to MIBR. But that doesn't make any sense now. Not with the
No.
KNG move on the paper. So Henny's in this position where he could like totally slip through the fucking cracks. Like he can just end up one of these, Brazilian players that he'll occupy the void that KNG was in for so long.
Well, if
where he'll be
KNG
this really good
leaves,
player.
if KNG leaves and goes to MIBR, that opens up a spot on INTZ, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
They did just get relegated, though. I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think
yeah, I don't know.
so. It's a strange one for sure, and I can't think of anyone that's going to pay big money as well, because like you say, we're talking about Brazilian teams here, and we also know that famously their buyout fucking clauses are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think any NA team right now is gonna have the money to pay for him,
He
and I
doesn't
can't
speak
think of a
English
lineup
either.
he would not. Yeah, I was gonna say his English isn't great, let's say. So I can't think of an NA lineup, like with English-speaking players that are going to be able to fit him in. So very bizarre, like for me, and I think it's a waste of a fucking good talent, honestly. So it must be a personality. Like there must have been an argument or something.
Almost 100%. Like I can't. There's no. This wasn't a performance-based move for sure. There's just no way. This is definitely a personality-based move.
Mm.
They must have had some form of conflict.
So there was another strange one as well. Heroic. I don't know if you guys were keeping up with this one as well.
Yep.
But yeah, basically, they brought in NATO Semphis, who is an AWPer by trade. They brought him into the team and told him, "You won't be doing that no more, brother. Like, no chance. We're gonna let Esatag do that. You're gonna basically play all these like weird bitch roles that you're not used to, and you'll be rifling for most of them." And it turned out Heroic have been playing pretty fucking well, actually. We were just talking about them on the last episode of the show. Like, they've had some pretty good finishes, took some big scalps. They had a top 8 finish at ESL 1 Cologne, ESL Pro League finals. So they've been doing, pretty well. They've come a long way from where they were when they were just like the forgotten team for like not even washed up Danes. Like just it was Freiburg and just a bunch of Danes that people hadn't really heard of. But now they're a solid fucking team. And I was just sort of aghast because this is sort of like what has happened to a lesser extent Dennis in Sprout as well. You get offered this great opportunity. You have to massively compromise your own game, massively compromise your play style to fit in with the team. You're winning. It's going well. It makes no sense to sort of cut you. But that's what happens. And they've just announced today they're bringing in Borup, which we can talk about in a second. But
yeah, I've heard about that Borup guy before.
Yeah, same. But so just first of all, I mean, I got to say, NATO Semphis wasn't great, but he was doing his job within the team, and it was working. So I feel genuinely sorry for the dude. What do you guys think?
Well, the thing is, and a lot of times with teams too, like if you're a team like Heroic, and let's say the players there, they have, from an outside point of view, right? If you're somebody watching them and you think, oh, they're doing better than they were before, like now that they look like they're doing pretty good. From the way I see it is that they look like they're doing better. From inside the team, they might have originally made that move thinking it was going to take them to a whole nother level. And now if they've just improved slightly, they think from their point of view, this hasn't worked. Right? Because if you think that you're making a move to take you up to here, and then the move only takes you to here, then it hasn't worked. So then you want to change something to take you to there again. So even though it looks like they might be improving, they might not have been improving as much as they wanted to. And so from inside a team, everything it feels a little bit different because it doesn't matter if you've improved a little bit. If you don't achieve the goals that you've set for yourself, then you haven't improved enough, and then something needs to change again. Whether it's a roster change, whether it's a role change, whatever, they're the ones who have to make that decision. But I agree with you. I thought it looked like they were actually playing pretty well, and they had some decent upset potential. But yeah, I guess for whatever reason they decided that making this move would give them a better chance of going to the next level.
Corey, some thoughts, because I think you were in a similar position to this, right? When I remember us talking about a similar topic when I interviewed you for the Deserto show.
What are you referring to? Like the comparison?
Like basically having us kind of like swap roles around to accommodate the
Oh
team.
yeah. Well, that's what. What I was gonna say is basically like you don't. It's hard to say why you randomly replace someone if you're doing decent or well without knowing the attitude of the player. Because if you take a player that's skilled and you put him in like kind of the bitch roles, like you said, he might do it. He might do well, but he might not be happy, and and he could be whining or just not as motivated as maybe the teammates want, or willing to be practicing longer hours and stuff just because he feels like he should have a better role. And that happens a lot with younger players. Like I've played with some that it's like everyone knows you can't set everyone up for success, right? Like you can't have all 5 of your players just being like the stars. So you have to have someone do it. But a lot of times if it's not their choice, they're unhappy.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, but it seemed to be a very like calm team. There was never any drama coming out, right? I mean,
there's always a little bit more drama going on in those Danish teams than they let on. They're very good at poker facing it. I'll just say that they have a very good poker face. They always look like they're all real calm and there's nothing bad going on, but there's a lot more drama going on in those teams than
anytime you pick up an opper and he doesn't op, he wants to op. I promise.
Sure,
like,
of course.
Like he whether he agreed to join to be a rifler or not, in the back of his head, he's thinking, I can do a better job than him. I'm a better opper than him. I was better as an opper. It happens every time, every single time.
Well, I don't understand why they do this as well. It's like it's really bizarre. It doesn't really happen in many other sports where you pick up a player that has like a designated role and is known for one thing in particular, and then you try and completely repurpose them. There's very few examples of it working too. In soccer, the famous one probably I would say is Thierry Henry. Started out as a winger at Juventus. Arsene Wenger signed him for Arsenal, said, I think this guy can be a striker, went on to be their like goal scoring, record holder. So, it can work, right? If you've got the magic eye, but I don't think anyone in CS really has that level of, attention. And it just seems strange to bring an AWPer in the first place. And then kind of when it's working, you then, well, no, we can actually do better than this. We can actually have an upgrade.
It's like
deeply unfair.
Even if you look at Simple for an example, teams have forced him to rifle in the past, and he's insane. He's like literally the best rifler and statistically the best on his team, but he still wants to op. Like he still wants to do it, like regardless of anything. So
yeah.
it's
So
hard
what
to get
this Borup kid then? I mean, another 19-year-old. It's incredible because he's 19. But he looks like how 19-year-olds looked when I was 19, right? Like he's got the backward baseball cap in his picture and like the cowabunga dude kind of fucking haircut. So, but another young Danish kid that a lot of people have been talking about and saying is a real prospect in the scene. Obviously, Mertz has been moved to inactive in all of this as well, and I thought he was like, potential, like had some potential. But yeah, a lot of people have been talking about Borup as being another, potential Danish star, right? I mean, is that a little bit overhyped, or?
I don't know. This has been going on with him for a little while. Like people have suggested him to me probably 2 years ago, I would say at this point. Like the last time I was on Splice with Corey when we were looking at players, his name had got brought up. And I'd watched some of his demos, and he seemed really raw at the time. It's been almost 2 years since then, I think. So it's been a little while. But you could tell he had skill, but he seemed to be he seemed like he wasn't really. Either his team wasn't communicating well, or he wasn't taking in comms well. Like you could see, like his spacing was off on things, and his trade timings were a little weird. But his mechanics were really good. So if he's worked on that, he could be pretty good. It's hard to know because Mertz seemed like he was going to be insane. Like like everyone all around the
Yeah, for real.
when Mertz was on North Academy, he was like as far as in the CS scene goes, everybody was trying to sign him as their opper because oppers are always in high demand to have a good opper. And he was like, yo, he's gonna be the next guy. Like he is gonna be the next guy. And it just never materialized. So it's hard to know. It really comes down to the player's attitude more than anything.
Yeah,
I think both. Sorry, go on, Corey.
When we were on Splice, we tried to get him a couple times, multiple different occasions, but he would always like show mild interest and then just start ignoring us. And I think one of the reasons,
Mertz, right? Not Borat.
Yeah, Mertz. Yeah, Mertz. But I think one of the reasons was since he was on North Academy, I think North had gave him that hope / promise that he was going to be the next opper for their team if they underperformed, which they were doing. So I think he always like, well, naturally, I would want to do it too. I would rather play on the second best Danish team than move to North America, whether, you know what I mean? So I understand why he wanted to do it, but I think he held out too long, hoping for like waiting for that role. And eventually he got on, but like he got replaced pretty quickly, right?
Well, North had taken such a nosedive at that point that you get thrown in there, and it's like, okay, save us. But I wasn't really ready for this.
So he waited with the promise, but I think he ended up waiting a long time, and it's like it's kind of that situation that happens with like some lower level players where it's like they kind of needed that 1 or 2 seasons of like premier before they go into pro league, you know, like they kind of need a little bit more development, and then they just get thrown into a good team, and they just like it's just such a big difference playing. Like I don't think people realize what a difference is playing on a team like Liquid is versus playing on like a bottom level pro league team. You know, like it's going to be way different, and you're going to be under a lot more pressure, and you go to a ton more tournaments, and it can be a lot for like an inexperienced player. So I'm not sure why he didn't progress more though, but I always thought he was talented, like just watching him.
Well, I mean, the good news is, I mean, because he's still contracted there, if there is another shakeup, you know, because what's interesting is like Heroic, they've got some like real good young talent there, you know, with Blame F and Stown. Now they're bringing Borup in. They still got Mertz on the bench. You know, this is like, there's a lot of potential there, and it's kind of like Freiburg's, you know, the old man, right, of the team. Everyone else is like, I think like 22 or younger. And in some cases very young, because you know, like I say, I think Stown is still only 17, which is crazy, and he's getting better all the time.
I think it's good to have an older guy on the team though, like one or two.
Yeah.
I think it really helps calm people, especially someone that's been to majors, won majors, you know, been in so many finals. Whether people think Freiburg has been is like bad or washed up is kind of irrelevant. I think you definitely need. You can't have 5 17-year-olds on a team. I don't think it's really hard for that to work.
Well, for any long consistency, like you might have like moments, but you're not without that like the people undervalue the experience and like the effect that like a player of that historic value can actually have on the younger players.
He's actually low key been playing pretty well in like he's had some like good series and roll back the years a little bit. I mean, you know, he was very good against Vitality, you know, when they played. So it's interesting. I'm not saying he's going to sustain that, but it's very different to say, well, we keep him on the team because he's the veteran and the young guy's going to do all the heavy lifting. And all of a sudden now Freiburg's kind of like having a bit of a renaissance and actually doing some heavy lifting himself. This is why I've been saying I think Heroic are low key.
The man,
fuck y'all. I mean, apologies for being late. You know.
No, it's all right. Yeah, what's up? Everything okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
We're just talking about Heroic. You've joined at the right time.
All right.
Talking about Heroic.
No, it's hilarious actually. I've got some context for you on that. So I actually literally on the last episode of Counterpoints, which was only like a week ago, had that Nautilus Affix guy on, and then the whole episode, right? He's just talking about like support players and how he's transitioned from Orpin and he's given up all these roles, you know, and how he thinks the team's going really well. And what's great is in the interview, he sounds like a great guy. Like, so obviously now it's even more hilarious that like they were just the whole time like, Yeah, oh yeah, you're doing support roles and that. Yeah, you're doing a really good job right now. He just needs to bother you up for a minute. Like, get this guy the fuck out of it. Daps him. Daps this motherfucker immediately.
Yeah, daps
I'm calling for Daps rendition. They just come in and fucking like bag him up instantly. He's just gone now. He's going to be on cloud 9 by the morning.
Do you need us to do anything, Sam, for the cameras?
It'll be about 30
All right,
seconds.
he's
Just
working
keep
on
talking.
it. Yeah, no worries. Well, look, we can move on to a topic now that's going to be of great interest to everybody, and especially Duncan, because it's a topic about himself. So the major talent announcement was made.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think it's caused a lot of consternation because you weren't on it.
Tough choices had to be made, right?
Yeah. Well, so my understanding, I don't know. Can we talk about this? It's not going to fuck anything up if we talk about this, right?
What do you mean?
Well, like, can we talk about whether or not you're there?
Duncan
Yeah,
will
because
talk about any.
officially I'm not there, so no problem, right?
Yeah, but like, this is that's what I'm talking about. That
What do you mean?
because you are you not doing something?
not doing the major, am I? So no problem. Don't worry about it. At least I'm officially not doing the major. So
yeah, well, see, this is what I was talking about. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, so let's just see what happens.
Yeah. All right.
You know
Are you going to the fucking major, or are you not going to the fucking
Listen,
major?
if you understand base level quantum mechanics, then the universe exists in a superflux state in which technically, like I was once told by my physics teacher, it is actually technically possible that randomly your atoms could just rearrange when you're on one side of a door and make you appear on the other side of the door. Now, he also was a daft cunt who probably had no successful women and watched a lot of Star Trek. So I'm not sure how much of that actually came from his physics degree or just his own like withering social life, but technically it's true. So for all I know, in one universe, Davey, I do end up working at the major. In another universe, I don't end up working at the major. I can't tell you which one's going to be it because for all I know, Nelson Mandela did die in 1990.
All right. Paul McCartney.
I mean, he is actually dead now.
You could have gone with Paul
Is he actually dead now?
He's dead. He's definitely
dead. Now Nelson Mandela is dead. Yeah.
Wait a minute, he's dead now? The effect goes deeper. I don't know.
Full butterfly effect shit. Well, all right. Well, I just won't talk about it. But
yeah, you guys can just talk about other stuff.
All right. How about we just talk about who is officially announced then?
That's true.
Yeah, go on then. Let's do it. We never really talk about talent. I fucking hate talent announcements with a passion. By the way,
I just hate talent.
And on a side, this is like this is actually just a big one for me personally when I'm looking at it. Is Sadokist isn't commentating and he's on the desk.
Yeah,
the desk host now. That's a big move.
Like, so again, as I said on the last episode, like I won't get into any of the stuff, about him splitting away from Henry and everything. I don't want anyone distracted.
I don't think you even need to, Richard. Like, here's the thing.
No,
all that needs to be said about that, basically, in terms of like the overall initial topic, like you're addressing, is. It's like I'll give you the best example. You know when people get really upset when a band that they really like splits up, right? And then all they do for every year from then on is just keep asking them constantly in interviews, like, when are you getting back together though? When are you going to get back together? It's like, that's just a period of my life, mate. Like I was in a band once for 20 years. Like, that's a pretty fucking long time to spend on a project with anyone. Like if you never get in a band with someone you spent 20 years, I think you've already done your fucking innings with them. So with commentators, think about it, right? Those two commentators came up together. It's not like they were already at the top. Like, here's the thing: when Anders and Moses, when Anders and Moses get together, they could go for 10 years now. They chose to be a duo afterwards. The others, like, it's like half the success came halfway through the period they were together. So to me, it's just logical. Relationships run their course, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, potentially.
That's unreasonable.
Yeah, so like we'll talk about it like once the major's over probably, but this is I suppose that is the interesting point, Davey. That I think for a while Matt has wanted to be doing desk hosting work. I kind of think he's one of those guys who like when he gets to the top of something, like he wants to set himself a new challenge. I can kind of identify with that. I've done like many roles in esports myself. You want to constantly like find something new so you feel like it's interesting for you, not just doing the same thing. And I've said it many times, like being a desk host, it's actually not as fucking cool as you think it would be. I mean,
bad news, Sadokist. Tune out to this part, mate. It's brilliant.
Definitely.
The first part's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're like someone going to like a fucking like when they just had the kid and you're like, first 3 years are a nightmare, mate. You're going to have no bloody sleep. Somebody's done it.
No, but I mean, like, look, you can do any old fucking shit, and for the first 6 months, it'll be interesting. That's just human nature. Like, when the curiosity's there and you're learning, it's interesting. But, I hit a plateau in hosting where it was like, I consider myself to be a guy with a personality, but what you have to do when you're a desk host is basically package that away and just ask the right questions and time management basically is what you're doing. You want everyone on the desk to shine. You want everyone to have the same amount of time to speak. And this is the type of thing you become focused on. And then obviously as well, you have to take a more active role in the production meetings beforehand because you're doing the throws, you're doing the tosses. Your analysts can fucking sit there, messing around. It doesn't really matter. The camera's not even going to be on them. They can be laughing while you're trying to do a fucking toss, to a commercial or a plug. Yeah, and often are, exactly. So the discipline is completely, different. And that's, what I found out. And it was like back when I was doing analyst roles, the only thing that was unenjoyable about doing that for me was just constantly being told to kill myself by the community that I've served diligently for fucking 15 years because you don't even play. You are
the
bad.
sad thing. Having
analyze game, kill
having
yourself.
people like
So
that in
was
the
fun.
community is basically just like it's like you've externally outsourced having like schizophrenic fucking voices in your head just telling you to kill yourself. Like, it's brilliant. Why have I actually outsourced this program now? So now I've just got a group of people who come and say, and it is real. The voices at least you can go. They're not real.
I said it.
No, they really don't want you to kill yourself.
I've said it before. The episode will just get like mad dark for a second, right, guys? But the worst time. The worst time, right? And again, so this is when I absolutely
can fucking stop.
It's because unfortunately in England, when someone else is telling you about how horrible their life is, only in it. It's not your life.
Yeah.
You're not them. So I know. Keep going. I want it to get really dark.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to laugh, but I can't.
I looked down at the pistol. I said, which one of us is making out in this room tonight? The G-Infinity Spring Masters 2.
So what happened was basically my best friend committed suicide while I was at an event.
That's a bit somber.
And it was the week, it was like a few days or the week before I had to go to Cologne. So I basically flew from his fucking funeral, right, to do Cologne, and I'm sat there, and I think I even had the jacket on that I'd wore for one of the things.
Oh, is this the one that Nip won, the 2014 one?
Yeah, the 2014,
yes.
Right? And I still had the they give you those fucking memorial, cards.
Yeah, with all like the prize.
Yeah, with all the all the hymns and everything. Abide with me and all that shit. And that was still in my inner pocket. I completely forgot. And I'm looking at Twitch chat, right, while I'm doing this thing, and it's like everyone said like, oh, Richard, like, don't come, dude. And I'm like, how can I say no to a fucking major? Yeah. Like, when I might never get another chance at this. I might never get another shot. So even though I felt like ass, I thought I'll go and do it. But they put me in an analysis role and not a host role. So I'm just sat there looking at Twitch chat, right, between takes of the game, and it's like, why doesn't that fat bald fucking cunt kill himself? And it's like,
so
I'm in the right headspace for this job, and it was just fucking thousands of comments like that. I mean, literally thousands. And you just sat there like, and then it goes live again, and I'm sat next to Top Gun, the Australian dude, and he's like barely interested in it at all. Like, so I'm having to like work extra hard because he was playing at the fucking tournament, and they just brought him on.
Yeah. There's a reason he's on the Alice.
Leave his ad alone. So anyway, I'm like having to work extra hard, and everything I'm saying, all the questions I'm asking, they're designed to get a pro perspective. And then people are going, "What a fucking stupid question! Will he just hurry up and kill himself?" I'm like, "Fucking hell! Can we dial it down? Can I be allowed to live and just not do the show? Like, is that all right?
Can I just live in suffering and anguish?
Yeah.
For 20 years?
Can I just
live? Yeah, exactly. Can I get a
stay of execution in some sort of life sentence, please?
Yeah, can I just not be on air? Is that all right? Like, is that okay? So,
what do you guys think the average age is of the people telling you to kill themselves? You think it's like 12-year-olds, or you think it's like 25-year-olds?
I don't even know where the line is anymore, brother, because I used to think it was just silly little kids, but then it's like some of the people I've seen like getting so fucking militant over esports. It's like they're in their motherfucking 30s.
No, that's the problem.
They're behaving like that.
The problem is, Semphis, like everyone always does say that if they're like they don't know that they've never experienced it. They're always like, it's probably just a 12-year-old kid doing it. But like the sad thing is, in the era of like Twitter, No, it's not. They're not all egg accounts. Sometimes it'll be a person. What's mad is sometimes it'll be a person. They have like their real name and their fucking picture.
No, on Twitter,
like
I think they're older most of the time.
Dude, I think a lot of them like you can get people who are 25 will tell you that. I assume, you know, they might just have a bad day or something, or they haven't thought it through or whatever. But it's pretty mad. Like, it's not even just trolls doing it anymore.
No, I know.
Oh, no, the best thing is when it's a picture of them with like their kids. And it's like, you've bred and you're behaving like
no, it's like that joke I made, wasn't it?
Kill yourself, end your life, and he's my little baby boy.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, how the fuck does that work? It's unreal.
Well, it's like if you ever go on HLTV.org and you read like the match comments from any match where like a team has a lead and then loses, there's always people like, most obvious throw I've ever seen. It's so obvious that they're betting on themselves, and I'm like, you really think this? You really think that like Liquid decided to fucking lose to a lower tier team for like $1,000? Like, it's
the problem is though, like, mate, I even though I agree it's not as bad in certain traditional sports because they're not using Twitter as actively, you know, so they're not reading this shit. Like, they're just going through the mainstream approach. Like, to be fair, if you ever see just normal sports culture, but online,
it's unreal.
Like, mate, the best ever is MMA, because that's like a field I've at least like followed for quite a while, you know. If you ever see the casual fans of MMA, mate, they drive you up the wall. It's that arsehole down the pub, like the one who's just going like, this guy's a fucking pussy, look at him getting knocked out. Like, yeah, listen, bro, you gotta believe it. I've got heart. Like, I just wouldn't go down like that. Like, I'm not a fucking bitch. It's like, what are you talking about? Just being cracked in the jaw by like one of the best strikers in the world. Like, they're making like some movie shit in their head, aren't they? Like, their takes are just so bad. It's like, I don't even think in that scenario they're trying to be assholes. That's just how they see the world, I think.
No, it's totally ridiculous. I've been watching MMA
with Jens
for
Pulver the other day, and he was telling me about that, and it's like, you know, when he got beat by Joe Luzon.
All right, Joe Luzon, yeah. Oh, he got wrecked in that one. Very famous one. It was very bloody.
Yeah, he got wrecked. He got wrecked because Joe Luzon had come out of Tough, right? He come out of the Ultimate Fighter, I think. Well, anyway, you know, and he said like he trained like a motherfucker for that. Like, he's like, he trained for like 4 months, and it's like everyone's calling him a fucking bitch, pussy. The crowd's booing him.
So reasonable, isn't it?
And you've just got to stand there and like suck it up. And sometimes, right? Like, obviously with losers, they don't necessarily interview you unless you're a big personality or you might be dangling retirement, right? So you don't even get to say anything to the crowd. Boo, boo, you fucking suck. It's like, he's like, the amount of hard work you put in to win a fight is insane, and anything can happen in the cage and get knocked out with the first punch. He specifically was referencing Jose Aldo.
They have like increased the drug testing in MMA like a lot, right? Like,
yeah, and then fucking Brock Lesnar and John Jones are just gonna fucking fight, like, just the juice. The juice is.
The thing is, I want to see, Richie. Where's Semphis going with the drug testing angle here?
Yeah,
obviously he obviously was a very militant proponent of drug testing in CS:GO. Actually, believe it or not.
I'm either a fan of like testing for everything or having no tests, like one of the two. But and I'm not really opposed to either. Like, I would totally watch MMA if they're just juiced to the fucking gills, just smashing each other.
That basically is what
they are. Brock Lesnar definitely is. He fails every time. Him and John Jones, they're just pissing into stuff.
You know, he got
T-ball
metabolites in his blood from 2 years ago. Apparently, it's not possible. Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
Yeah. No, the thing is,
nothing to see here.
That is what the Japanese production called Pride that was on up until about, I think, like 2008. That's what it was. What they used to do cleverly, Semphis, is they used to explicitly state in the contract that the one thing they would never test for is like anabolic steroids, basically. So as a result, what they were telling you was like, so, you know, I'm not saying do it, but, you know, competitive advantage and all that. It's like, and then everyone would come out, by the way, everyone who was in the UFC who fought in that competition, if you just go and look at them, mate, like, it's night and day. Like, they come out like a WWE motherfucker in, when in Japan it was unreal. And the amount of knockouts it's there as a result.
There's actually a topic here. There's actually a topic here. So we can come back to the talent announcement because we're talking about fucking steroids.
You think they're all juicing?
No, well, Cold Zero said on
he used
stream.
To be fat, that's right. Yeah, yes, he's looking.
No, but he said he's doing steroids. He's doing a cycle. So on stream he said, "I've got it."
Hello?
No, this is absolutely true.
Is he not aware of American culture?
mate. So he said he was doing a stream, and people were saying like, "Oh,
does someone come in and inject his ass while he's doing the stream or something?" I can't see that.
No. Somebody
Get
said,
my Kaylee on.
You know, like how Corey always gets asked, like what your diet is or whatever, right? Well,
sure.
so someone was like saying, "Oh, like, what have you been doing to build up muscle or whatever?" And he was like, "Oh, steroids. I'm doing
He's honest.
I'm doing literally." He said, "I'm doing 500 milligrams of testosterone."
Is this motherfucker George Washington? You just can't tell a lie. It's like, yeah, I'm called Dirty. Fuck any bitches.
And growth hormone and oxandrolone, which is known as Anavar, I think, right?
Are those famous ones, by the way?
Yeah,
they're good for. It's good for being lean. Like Anavar is like. It's known as the girl steroid, but
that seems weird. He'd use it because he looks more like he's trying to get jacked. He's a stocky guy.
Oh, it builds muscle still. It just helps you stay leaner. Like one of the few that have fat burning capabilities. Like most don't.
That's even though I know what you mean by that. That sounds depressing because it sounded like you were just doing a commercial for it there. Like it's got the new fat burning technology. Ladies want to lose some weight and get jacked before the wedding? Why not try new Anabol or whatever it's called?
So, like, I only saw this because it got deleted off Reddit.
And he was taking growth hormone apparently too, I think.
Yeah, growth hormone on
listen,
top,
Cold
right?
Zero, don't interpret that too literally, man. It's too late, bro. It's too late. You need a fucking genie in a magic lamp if you want that to happen. Or have you ever seen platform shoes?
But yeah, so I saw I only saw it on Don Hassie's Twitter.
You're out of
with
control,
the
man.
clip.
What the fuck?
But I couldn't believe it because it's like, so apparently those drugs aren't on the Esports Integrity Coalition's banned list for performance enhancing drugs, but Adderall is.
Would they actually enhance your performance, do you think, though?
Well, listen, I'm not saying one way or the other, but I'm saying legit injecting yourself with testosterone, right? Like, it seems to me that would, have a potential effect on your game, but it's not on the list of banned substances. Adderall is. And I even think, if I remember rightly, from when all the drama went down, I think Isik was saying that, you had anybody that was doing it was like zero tolerance unless you had like a prescription or something.
For anything whatsoever.
Yeah, for any of the drugs on the list.
Well, we know some players have got popped for some of those drugs, and they, not the performance enhancing ones, and they're just kind of, yeah, maybe not that one. That's a little ridiculous kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I know Corey used to always make the joke when we were playing that his muscles were too big and it was slowing him down. So, I don't
He's
know.
actually using that himself, even though he knows that's a myth. That's some bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Conan the Barbarian.
All these kids have an advantage over me. They're all so small and skinny. Their arms move so much faster. I can't keep up.
Listen, Arnold shares your pain. When he did Conan the Barbarian, he was so big for the scenes where he had to hold the sword. He couldn't get his arms together to hold the sword in two hands. So they had to trim his muscles down. He
probably had the same excuse for why I had to get jerked off by all those people in massage parlors. Like, you see, the bloody thing is I couldn't. So I had to pay.
That scene with him in Pump and Iron where he's just going, you see, when I'm in the gym, it is like I am coming. Like fucking.
Yeah, it's when he goes, when you hit the pump. He goes mad off on it, doesn't he?
Oh, he loves it, mate. He's just coming all
the best play ever was, I can't remember if it's that same documentary, but you remember the one where he's hanging around? It's like him, I think Andre the Giant, and then Lou Ferrigno, the guy who played the Incredible Hulk. And what's mad is, right, because it's a famous thing with some people who do bodybuilding, that basically they do have a disease. It's called body dysmorphia. The idea is they always think they're too small. So even when they become this guy I'm talking about, by the way, used to be the literal stunt double. That's his job on the Incredible Hulk TV show. He's a massive, ripped guy. But because Arnold, etc., were even bigger than him and even better, they used to fuck with him all the time and be like, "You're looking small, Lou. You're small today." And he'd be going like, getting all stressed out. It's like, he's on fucking steroids, massive. Look at him. So it's like, unfortunately, obviously his brain couldn't interpret.
He plays the Incredible Hulk, man.
Exactly. It's like, he's not look small, is he? He'd be playing the other guy.
Who was the other guy? Was it Frank Columbo who blew the hot water bottle? He blew it till it fucking exploded.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah.
Is that Frank Columbo? That's fucking unreal.
Yeah.
You try doing that. That's fucking mental. The lung strength you have to have. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I don't know why the fuck we're talking about pumping iron.
Speaking of lung strength, people who just shout about Counter-Strike. Oh my God, 2 kills, a third. If there's another, it's 4. He's got the quartet. And then they get paid loads of money and everyone goes, you're fucking brilliant. How'd you do it? It's fucking amazing.
Right, so Corey,
appreciate
what do you think of this talent announcement overall? Like, are you happy about it? Does it scratch your itch?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I have most streams almost muted when I'm watching them. Like,
Sports the game.
I'm not trying to be a dick. It's not like I hate anyone.
It's quite a famous thing most analysts and stuff say, actually.
Yeah, I just want to watch the game, and like I want to see it from like my point of view, kind of as well, depending on why I'm watching it, But I don't know. I can still hear them. I'm just not like I don't know. I think it's different when you're coming from like a pro background. You're not watching the game for like an entertainment purpose as much sometimes.
It can actually get annoying, can't it? Like if you're trying to think about something in the round and then they're like talking about something different or maybe more lighthearted, it gets annoying, doesn't it? I find that.
They can be really wrong sometimes.
Yeah,
like
that's
like
what I was going to say.
They're getting a lot better. Like I'm good. Like people are getting way better at understanding the game. Like the talent and everyone. I think like all of them. I think if I had to pick a favorite, I'd probably like
Sponge maybe.
Yeah, Sponge is good. Sean's good.
Sean's
for the analysts. I mean, Sean's probably my favorite. I think he does a good job kind of explaining it without it being like overly complex. I think sometimes he goes a little bit too far, but like not for like us, but just if you're a newer player, I would think I'd be confused, if you know what I mean. But that's it.
Yeah, a lot of the times when I'm watching the games and I'm listening to commentators, I really don't like when commentators say things like, "Oh, why is he doing that? This makes no sense." But then you're watching it from like a pro perspective, and you're like, actually, this makes complete sense because of what happened over here. You just don't realize what happened over there caused this thing to happen here. Like you just don't realize that happened. And because when they're commentating, they're focused on what they see, right? Like, because that's what they're commentating for. So they're focusing on what they see. And if they're watching a point of view, they're focusing on that. And they're not really watching, like, they're not necessarily paying attention to the radar or what could have happened elsewhere. And they tend to miss things, which cause them to say things that are wrong. And they can't really help it. But from
plus X-ray, man, you have to. Yes. You have to take into account X-ray because, like, a lot of times people just hit you with, "Well, it's so obvious they were 4 walking ramp right there." I'm like, dude, they had no information on the whole map. Like, just because you can see them through the walls doesn't mean that. Like,
this actually happened in a big League of Legends match last weekend. There was a play in the 5th game of a series, so that was going to decide who won the series, right? Where one of the star players of Team Liquid made like a mad aggressive play, and it looked like he was an idiot because there was a guy hiding in the bush right next to where he jumped out, basically, and he just got 2v1'd and died instantly, right? But the problem is when they showed the replay, because they were able to show their equivalent of that, where they show like it's called Pro View, where you literally see what their mouse is clicking. On his screen, there's only one guy, and unless they're in this one tiny brush, he's safe. He's going to get like a 1v1 kill. So what's sad is, like, in that scenario, like they didn't flame him too hard, but it would have been so easy for them to just go in on him. Like, what's he doing? Look at that. He's just giving him a kill for no reason. But actually, if you were looking at his POV, it was like that looked like an opportunity to get something, actually. It was like a very clever trap by the other team, basically. So I agree. There's a massive like area there where it's easy to cross the bounds for sure.
That's why I think like if you're commentating, sorry, Rich, I'll let you
no, jump
like
in.
I think when you're commentating, I think it's more important. Like when I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking of the commentators I like the commentators who just say what they're seeing and focus on like the positive things that are happening and let the analysts break down the mistakes and the things that are going wrong. Don't try to do that if you're commentating. Don't try to say what they should have done. Don't try to just say what's happening. Just focus on what's happening. And if you have a guy with you who's commentating as like a color commentator, like an analyst commentator, and it's somebody like Moses who can then like contribute something, then maybe he can, or like there's people that are like really good at it that can contribute something to why things happened. But I don't think you should say what they should have done, because you don't know what they should have done. You don't know their comms. You don't know what happened. You don't know what they should have done. You only know what
so much when Henry
the
does
hindsight.
It, for example, right? Because obviously he used to be a player and was an in-game leader for a period of time. So
honestly, he's somebody
who play with Rattlesnake
so often. He's somebody for me when I'm watching. He gets things wrong. He's somebody who I really appreciate his commentary. I thought him and Sato were the best duo we had, but he would get things wrong so often that would just drive me up the wall. And he was I couldn't. I couldn't stand it sometimes. I'm just saying, like I'm just
No.
just saying.
We all
fuck
speak
him.
the truth
He's out.
here.
You're here now, so you're our friends now, mate. Friendship with Henry ended. He's our new friend now.
You best bet that. But yeah, so there's also some first timers in there
Virgins
as well,
are
right?
but, you know.
Yeah. There's some major virgins.
The problem is saying which virgins are going to the major. Well, fucking narrow it down.
So here's some of
Harry
that
and
strange.
Hugo.
What's going on with Launders and Scrawny? Does anyone know?
I have no idea. I haven't even talked to him about any of it. I was thinking about messaging him and seeing him. I have no clue.
them. I don't.
They've
think
done a
I've seen
lot
them
of
cast the game
blast
for a
events,
while, right?
but I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Obviously they don't do like ESLs. I don't think so.
I just felt that this was their time. Like, I mean, no disrespect to Harry and Hugo, like super happy they're getting an opportunity at a major, obviously. But like, it does kind of feel strange. I thought they were kind of next in line to be the big duo. I thought those guys were killing it, honestly. And then I haven't really seen them commentate together.
The problem is, at the end of last year, they were like, right, Scrawny, we've made it. Because obviously this is how Launders talks, apparently. But he goes, Scrawny, we've made it. Scrawn Dog, my dude. I'm pretending like I'm from LA, even though for some reason you're not in any way from LA, Launders, so I'm fucking down. Anyway, listen, man, I'm mad Trill recently. So anyway, he's doing it. He goes, listen, good news. I've locked us in for the Blast Pro Series. So basically, all I'm saying, Scrawny, is as Blast goes, we go. So as long as they're considered a top circuit with all the best tournaments and a really high-level competition, it's our time, baby. What's the worst that could happen? And then 2019 happened, Blastralis. Another victim of Blastralis. When will the lives stop being ruined? Refresh. When will you give us a fucking break?
I thought they were I thought they were going to be doing all of that as well. I mean, that was the rumor that was on the circuit, that they were going to be doing all the blasts.
They've done quite a few.
Yeah.
Astralis has parted ways with them, right? With Blast.
Oh yeah. But we're still calling
in
it
semantics.
Yeah, exactly. in the loosest sense.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Kind of like when Stephanie McMahon in the WWE was against Vince McMahon, her father, but only on the show. That's the simplest explanation for everyone without going into the concept of shell companies.
Banks is there. Going to be doing
not the good one from FaZe. Would you look at that one from CS:GO? Obviously.
Yeah.
Listen, I know him, so I'm allowed to be a cunt.
Yeah, no, we've known James like a long fucking time.
I do.
By the way, that's actually a big deal that he's there, though. You have to realize this is someone who
I like him.
Like, if you think about would you look at that moment or whatever, which he's actually told an interesting story about in my interview that apparently he was having like an insulin like shock or something at the time from diabetes, and he just couldn't think basically of anything else to say.
Why did he get that to himself?
I know, especially because now I feel really bad because now I've realised. So basically, Anders and D-Man for about 10 years have had the same problem. They've just been repeating the same catchphrases. Could someone just get them a fucking EpiPen? For fuck's sake. I do not believe my blood sugar right now. That was all just bollocks, by the way, obviously, but yeah.
Oh wait, what? No, he wasn't.
No, that's the part about that diabetes. Oh no, so anyway, the point I was going to make was at that time, like he was the laughing stock of the community, mate. Like there's no way you would, if you paused time there and said this guy does a major 4 years from now, you would never believe that's possible. So it shows like the level of growth he must have gone through.
Oh yeah, I think Banks is someone who's been like plugging away in the scene for a long time, and he's definitely kind of slotted himself into that interviewer role. It's kind of an interesting time for that because obviously you've got Stunner as well, kind of doing that. But Stunner's also like doing desk hosting.
By the way, Semphis, what do you think about that? Because obviously Stunner used to just be your manager when you were in Cloud9, and in fact, if people don't know, he wasn't really known as like he was. I wouldn't even have said he was like the best social guy in the scene because he was half and half. Like he would either like you if you're from NA or start fights with you if you're from Europe. Right? So would you have ever thought he would end up in a desk role?
No, it was actually really random. Like I didn't like he kind of came from like Complexity being like the I don't even know, it was like a mini manager or something, and he would get his flight paid for to the event and he would come with us and stuff, and then he kind of tagged along to C9, and then he kind of worked his way up to doing other stuff than Counter-Strike, like other games and helping like Jack, I think at the time with some of the stuff because they were understaffed at the beginning of C9. Like they had a lot of money and stuff, but they didn't have enough resources or people to manage everything that was going on.
They hadn't had the org very long at that time, if you think. It was less than a year, I think, when they picked you guys up.
Yeah, exactly. And then And then I guess at some point, I don't know exactly what happened, like why he got cut from C9, but I remember that he got kind of like let go / fired or whatever happened. And I actually don't know why that was. I think he might have been blamed a little bit for their underperformance or whatever. And then he kind of like started working for NVIDIA or something. And then he was just doing desk jobs out of nowhere. It was like, I don't understand how it happened. Like, I don't know how he made the transition, but like, good for him, I guess. Like he seems to get a lot of jobs.
It was a bit surreal because I was one of those guys. Like when we first met, we nearly had a massive punch up, and we caught each other at a time when I think he was a little bit, how should we say, refreshed, and he was disappointed with, like, I think Cloud9 had like underperformed at some tournament. I think it was a DreamHack. Anyway, we didn't hit it off initially. Let's
he didn't like when people talk shit about like the team that he was.
Yeah, he used to get really mad about that. Basically, if you criticized them, he would just be waiting for you in the bar, basically.
Yeah, it was one of those
in the parking lot beside your car.
Exactly, almost on that level. Yeah.
Yeah. So but then when he started doing these desk jobs, like he reached out and was like, fucking, if you can give me some pointers or whatever, and I'll be honest, I mean, because we still had, it wasn't like beef or just. People threaten to beat me up all the fucking time, whatever. But it was I didn't think he would get to the level he's at now. And as I've said many times, I think he's like really exceeded my expectations like infinitely, to the point where he's like, I think he's one of the better like sideline interviewers. I think he's potentially even the best.
I think he might be the best if you consider like a lot of them, if you notice, where it fails for them is if what they planned doesn't happen, they're just fucked. Like a lot of them can't think on their feet as well. Or, I mean, to be fair, they are literally in that scenario. They tell you not to do in show business. Like, don't work with animals and children. And you're just getting 14-year-old kids and going, right, so when this segment comes live, I'm going to say to you, and then the kid, like, he goes live like, yeah. It's like, well, I just asked you who's going to win. Yeah. It's like, fucking hell. So you have to think on your feet, don't you?
And I'll say this until the cows come home. I am so fucking glad that the emergence of Stunner just gets rid of Parler. It just erases Parler from the fucking space. Because honestly, I don't understand what happened there. It's kind of like when we had Ninja Mania. Well, Ninja Mania, when Ninja's like the top streamer, and you're like, he's petty. He's like can't take a joke. He can't let anyone else succeed.
Looks like Ellen DeGeneres.
He's having like crazy mental breakdowns on stream every day when somebody tells him he's bad at the game. Not
that charismatic, and his gimmick is he dyes his hair. Like, I think we're gonna look back. It's gonna be like that poppy.
But his streams are PG though, so
yeah, true. Just crazy. And then I was watching like all the content that was made around Parler. It was like, fuck, dude, this is like terrible. And then some of the stuff that he kind of like was allowed again by the community to get away with. It's really interesting how they apply their standards.
Some of the stuff is meant. All I'll tell you is this: there's a video that to this day is on his YouTube channel where the joke is that they're pretending he's fucking Device up his arse on a bed. That's the joke. Yeah. Because what they do is like, listen, they have clothes on it, Sarah, but they make the angle so that it looks as though he's like, oh, it's like, how is this the joke? What the fuck is that? Like, there's not even any subtext there. Yeah, you're fucking him in his ass. I get it. Like, why is that a joke?
It's crazy.
That's a dream.
It's so crazy.
Trying to balance it out. I'm getting worried where the show's going right now.
Yeah, no, fair. But it's so crazy because it's like the community, like, haha, look, it looks like he's sodomizing Device. And I'm like,
I know, it's so unreasonable.
Like, guys, like, you do understand, like, you don't even let me and Duncan say Device had a bad game without like swarms of you telling us that we've got to stop. Like, it's so mental. But yeah, I'm just glad because I always thought like the crazy thing was my assumption always was about Parler that he didn't prep, but then when I worked events with him, I saw he did prep to get to that level. And it was like, wow.
Imagine if he didn't have his whole team around him, his script writers, all the meetings.
No, you don't understand that. You would catch him like kind of, in the backstage area. Like you'd be like, he couldn't talk to you because you'd be like trying to remember all the questions. And then, some people can't do it live. Like live is a different beast.
Oh, for sure.
Entirely.
That's probably the
Like,
most underrated thing in esports, because all I'll tell you is this: every time we meet people, because they come into esports from the outside world of TV or media, you wouldn't believe how many of them are like, right, where's the auto cue? It's like, what are you talking about? We're making all this shit up, man. He's like, what would the segment length be? It's like, how the fuck would I know? He's going to tell us. He'll tell us to keep talking if we want to keep talking. And like, they can't believe this, mate. They really think like, so professional. It's like, it's just world. That's like taken for granted, mate.
Yeah, I said it all the time. Like when we had the journalists like come down when we were doing E-League to do like one of those like interviews or whatever, and they'd be on set for the show and they'd be like, well, where's your like auto cue, where's your teleprompter? I'd be like, I don't use one. Like I don't use, and they're like, what? But you're on TV, and I'm like, yeah, I don't use one. I memorize my shit. I make cue cards, and I listen to my producer. and director, and that's how I get through a show. I don't have anything.
And sometimes you fuck up.
yeah.
That's the other thing. You have to be able to bounce with the mistakes.
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah, totally. But that was always like, what, really? But yeah, I think Paula was one of those guys who was always better in YouTube content. But look, here's the big thing, and then we can start. We'll talk about Fnatic, then we'll talk about the major. A lot of people, man, have got the knives out for fucking Pimp, dude. Like. The amount of shit that's come his way already because he's been named as an analyst at this major is like,
why don't they like him?
I think
unacceptable.
I think the main problem here isn't just so much that that Pimp got named as an analyst.
Good name.
It's just thanks. It's just that there's only 3 analysts. Now this might be a sore spot for Duncan. It might not be. We're not sure. He won't tell us. But there's only 3 analysts, and there's 5 hosts/interviewers. But 3 analysts. That's not very many fucking analysts, man. Like
Duncan, just show up. Major? Just show up. Just walk on stage.
Yeah, why not?
They're playing his music.
No. He would walk in. Duncan would walk in like the old. Oh God, was it Roy Jones Jr. or was it Mike? I think it was Mike Tyson, where his entrance music wasn't even music; it was just a long tone. There's like one long dark tone. That'd be Duncan walking in. I could see him walking into the Star Ladder stage right now.
I want him to do an Undertaker entrance. All the light goes out. Ding, dude! I'll even rock up and be pallbearer. Like, oh yes, oh yes.
And Duncan comes down from the ceiling.
Yeah, it'd be fucking amazing, mate. Like, I'll break the no events rule for that, man. But no, I agree. And this is the one area actually that they do fucking scrimp over all the time. We did it at E-League too, where it was like there's no analyst rotation. So the analysts get fucking worked.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the last major I did for E-League, which was the first one they did, the Atlanta one at the beginning of 2017, right? Off the top of my head, I think there's something like, I'm going to guess around, I think it's maybe even 50, but let's say it's 45 games, 45 maps of play in the tournament. Me and Yanko, that's famously, they didn't hire Yanko. It's me and Moses did all 45. So every day we're just going at 7 a.m. and we're just leaving at midnight every day.
And what people don't understand is, like, I've done minimal amount of casting and analyst work, but I have done a little bit at events. It's very hard to stay concentrated and focused for an entire day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like if you're doing a best of 3 and then someone else takes the next best of 3, it's fine. Like you go get food, whatever. Like you can kind of like wind down. You'll still watch the games usually and stuff, but it's not like you have to have your notes and like be paying full attention. And I definitely agree with the more people, more rotation, because it's better for the viewer too. Because they start getting, you can tell when analysts are like giving up, like on events. They'll start being like, yeah, they just overpass wasn't that exciting. They don't give you any insight to the game. They just kind of like get rid of it. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. It's even different. Like even just ignoring even if, let's say you're from the event point of view and you're thinking about making money in the best event, and so you're deciding you're gonna have less analysts because it costs more money to have more, blah blah. It makes the event worse. Like even still, like I think we all know, like after a game ends, I think maybe generously you keep about 50% of the viewers to watch the analyst segment, right? I think that's fair. Maybe even less. It really depends on the event and the analysts and all that. But even still, if every single time those same people that like watching the analysts after, if it's the same analysts after every game all day, that gets old for them too. Like you're going to have less and less people watching as the event goes on for the analyst segments. You want to keep it fresh. You want new analysts. You want to mix them around, like having different analysts working with different analysts on different games, switch them up every game. Like it makes the event better. Like it'll make your event better, especially if it's a major. Like if it's a major, like you got to have more than 3 analysts, man. You just have to.
And honestly, it pisses me off a lot that Valve just doesn't pay a little bit more for stuff like that. Like, I don't know if that's the 100% the reason, you know? Like, I'm not going to throw it all on Valve. Maybe
you don't make money on the major. You don't make money on the major.
No, but I mean, like, what they do for Dota in comparison to what they do for
they hired like 20 analysts for that, for the TI. Yeah,
it's just like,
that's what I mean.
They got giant screens with people doing, like on the fly, like breakdowns of rounds that are being done in like real time and stuff. Like they put in a lot more effort, and I understand they make more money on that game, but Counter-Strike doesn't make them no money. You know, it makes them enough money that they can hire an extra 2 casters or analysts if they need it, you know? So I really wish that Valve would, like, at least if they don't want to put in more money, let people crowdfund if they want, you know what I mean? Like, just like you don't even, like, what people buy so much stuff in Dota, like, just to get the tournament more money. I know people will buy like 10 passes just to increase the prize pool. It's like, why do they even care? I don't know, but they do. Like,
yeah, well, it's a point of pride, right? I mean, the Dota community comes together to basically boost the prize money. It was essential they went past this $30 million mark this time around, because obviously Fortnite had their World Cup that had the same amount, right? And they were like, well, we've got to beat fucking Fortnite. So that was like a galvanizing force. It helped that the Battle Pass was the best one they've done.
I just love, I love living in the world of capitalism where idiots really think that, like, oh, we must fund this other company and let them become rich so that we don't seem like bitches. Like, yeah, you seem really sick now. Fucking hell, daft cunt. What are you talking about? That's like if everyone was like, everyone in the world must give a tithe, 10% of their money, so someone else can become richer than Bezos. Like, what would that solve? What is this?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand it. The thing is it's a weird relationship there. It's a very unique community in the sense that the level of entitlement from the Dota community is off the fucking charts. But then again, you sort of have to acknowledge that they do earn that entitlement,
of course,
because they are funding the big. I mean, and again, they are funding it.
Everyone always forgets as well.
Valve are pocketing, like, vast amounts.
That's the problem. 75%.
75.
That's what everyone
yeah.
always forgets, right? They think 30 million, that's a lot of money to raise. No, Valve puts 3/4 in their own pocket, then goes, to be generous, we're going to give you plebs back a quarter of your money. And then everyone goes, oh my God, you are a legend. Like,
if you buy Commendium, don't they take like $250 goes to the prize pot and they take like $750 or something out of it? Like something like that. Yeah. That's not even 50.
It's pretty gangster though.
That's not even like we'll put in half. They're like, nah. And it's a virtual thing. It costs them literally no money to make.
And then all the plebs who go are like, oh my God, Gabe Newell turned up to the event. It's like, at this point, he's like the most, like, you know what you can get for 10 grand in the real world? You can get like the finest island in Bali for a fucking week. Gabe Newell just turns up and goes, is this that game? Can I have all the money now? See ya. And then they're all like, oh my God, he cares about the game and loves it. It's like, who gives a fuck?
The final point was just sort of I thought Pimp was getting a bit of a needless shoe-in. I understand he's not everyone's cup of tea. What I want him to do is, like, I think he's in that weird spot where it's like he's decent enough to get the recurring work, but not a fan favorite, right? So every time he opens his mouth, he himself probably is like dilutes when he wants to say a little bit. If I were him, I'd just fucking come out.
Oh, the second guessing that people get into when they get criticized, that is him. Like, what people don't realize is that's one area where actually, like, that's the reason generally I don't mind that, like, fans are going to think I'm the villain or whatever. Like, I just play up to it, mate. Like, I've seen the people who want to be loved by the fans, and when they get the hate train like that, you're right. All they do is just second guess themselves, and they end up in some fucked up middle ground where even they're thinking, like, that's not even what I wanted to do. And they still don't like it. This is even worse. Like, it's even more depressing, isn't it?
So what is the reason that people don't like Pimp? Like, is there like a main reason?
There's mainly two things as far as I can tell. One is the accent. Some people just can't understand him. But the other thing is as well, there's a weird thing. Maybe you've noticed it, right? Which is if you're a pro but you don't have the rep of like legendary in-game. Like Sean Gare's going to be fine. He could say anything, mate. God be. They could all go on the desk and say anything they want. They could go on there and say something patently ridiculous, by the way. It doesn't even make sense. But because they're God be, because of Sean Gare's, in your brain, you just go, they must know what they're talking about. The problem is when Pimp comes on, fans just go like, wasn't he shit at the end? What does he know about the game? It's like, he clearly knows a lot more than most people watching, doesn't he? Like, be reasonable. They just do that, basically. They think he's sort of like, doesn't know what he's talking about for some reason, which I don't really get that angle personally, but whatever.
Well, no, sorry, I was just going to say, like, just from my impression, it was just the voice is hard to understand. Like, or it's not like I don't know what he's saying, but I have to like really try and like pay attention. So I thought that would be the main reason. But yeah, I agree with what you said. Like, if people need a certain amount of respect for analysts to have them convey their points properly.
I mean, you got to understand, it's not like the fucking CS community are ever going to be fucking satisfied with. I mean, like, you know, we had to listen to for like what 2 years of people saying Yanko was garbage and boring.
They're never going to be satisfied with anything.
You know, like,
you have to
so
do your...
with Pimp, there's a lot of kind of you can make an analogy, a comparison to what happened with Deficio in League of Legends. You know, Deficio was this player, certainly not like a legendary player by any stripe, but a good pro and well respected. And he went into commentary, and when he started, first of all, he was super nervous because he understood how big the gig was. And obviously English isn't his first language. So he was talking too fast. People were complaining about the accent. And I remember I came out and wrote an article at the time saying Deficio will be like one of the leading guys in Europe, no doubt, give it time. And of course, it got downvoted on the League of Legends subreddit. Everyone said it was completely wrong, didn't know what it was talking about, you know, usual shit.
Are you banned from there?
Yeah, oh yeah, just a little bit.
That's how long ago this story was, mate. It's half a decade ago.
Yeah. So you know, but obviously Deficio went on to be great. Now I'm not going to say Pimp can do that, because maybe he can't, but it does put him in. It puts you in a weird headspace where it's like if he comes out and says anything controversial, they attack him for that. If he avoids the controversial and keeps his statements very middle of the roads and very, like, you know, just on point, very quick, simple to understand, people go, what's the point in that? Why is he here? So you can't win if you say anything that's like complex. They say you don't know what you're talking about. The bottom line is you're either a fan favorite or you're not. And what they do in CS is they kick the shit out of you until you leave, and then they swear that they miss you. They did it with Fifth Lauren as a player. They, you know, Semler. You know, take your fucking pick about how many people that they'll do it to. And it's just the same bullshit on Reddit. Let's fucking make somebody miserable till they quit. And then turned out we loved them all along, actually, guys. And, you know, I remember saying to Semler, actually, you know, you'll go do Overwatch now, and everybody on that fucking subreddit, bar one or two, like, hardcore haters, are going to be saying how great it would be to just have you come back and just cast one more game, and how amazing it is, and how they miss you, and all of this shit. And it's like they're nowhere to be fucking seen, or saying the exact opposite at the time you really need to sort of feel a bit of positive reinforcement. So I think Pimp's in a tough spot, because he's going to get like a lot of scrutiny and criticized a lot, but honestly, he just shouldn't give a fuck. He should just keep doing his thing.
That's what I was going to say. Like, if you're going to be making content in the CS community, or being on the desk, or being on anything, you can't, there's going to be so many different people telling you you're doing so many things wrong, and it's going to be so many different things. You have to just not fucking care. Like, you have to think about it like back when skins gambling was a thing, and you're playing a game, and after every game you had 500 people telling you all the awful things you did wrong, and how they're going to kill you, and how they're going to kill your family, and all. You have to just be like when you're doing it, like if you're Pimp, you'd have to just blinders on and make the content, like, do the analyst desk how you would want to watch it. If you were somebody watching an analyst desk, do it how you would want to watch it. And there's going to be people who don't like it, and there's going to be people who like it. But if you try to fucking pander to every single person who says you're doing something wrong, then you're going to get all over the place, and you're going to spiral, and you're not going to, and you're going to lose your whole, you're going to lose your confidence. You're going to lose everything that you want to be doing. So you need to just put the blinders on. Never
even bother asking the community for feedback.
Nope, never.
And I'll tell you why. Because if they had anything worth listening to, they'd be doing the shit themselves. Ask your producer for feedback. Ask your director for feedback. Ask your fellow talent for feedback. Ask people you trust for feedback. Hell, go and ask your partners, your family, whatever. putting out one of those fucking like Reddit posts. Hey guys, just did it. Like, you're either fishing for fucking compliments or you're just gonna get a deluge of useless shit and it's gonna mind fuck you and you're gonna end up garbage. Like, fuck feedback from the community, because it falls into two varieties. It falls into either just fawning and useless praise, which probably makes you rest on your laurels and makes you think you're better than you actually are, or it's just ridiculous criticism, which is just skewed, completely based on personal preference and has actual no functional value. I always just, I hit a point where I just started putting it out my head, around about 2011 or whatever. It was just like, I'm never listening.
Also, let's be real, right? It's like everything in life. It's all about perspective, isn't it? It might seem really bad, but that's about your perspective. Like, I used to think this was really fucked up what they do to Pim, but then I realized he's drawn a lot of the hate away from me. He's kind of like the flak that draws the heat-seeking missile into that. And then I survive just close by and go, fuck, that was a close call.
Yeah.
Well, I want to first off say that I like Semler. Like, I love Semler. I think he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you guys are like what you guys think, but I feel like maybe for him just going MIA for like 1 to 3 months would have helped him out, just because I don't think he was a bad caster or anything like that. I just think maybe some of his sayings and some of his, like, the way that he casted became kind of repetitive. It was like, Swag 7. It was just like a lot of things that were funny for a long time. They kind of people were getting sick of them. So it's almost like he kind of needed to reinvent some new stuff. And I mean, that's going to happen to anyone. That's not even me like talking shit. It's just like he casted since the beginning, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think like like everyone suffers from oversaturation, right? Like, everyone has the catchphrases that you repeat time and time again. You're not supposed to be recorded like for fucking thousands of hours. About a game that ultimately is as rich as the game is. It's going to have the same situations come up time
Think
and
about
time
what happens
again.
to us, Richard, where they always do that thing where they're like, Thorin always just says, here's the thing. It's like, if you've been recording for thousands of hours and then you've watched those record, do you imagine I'm going to start every sentence totally differently? Like, what sort of mad
How
expectations?
many ways can you preface an answer? Eventually, you're going to have to repeat them, aren't you?
Yeah. So yeah, he definitely suffered a little bit from that, but also as well, what you have to remember is there's a reason. First of all, it's always someone's first broadcast, right? Like, it's always someone tuning in for the first time who maybe hasn't heard you, always. And then the second thing is as well, like, you want the familiar returning viewers to hear like recurring phrases a little bit. That's why catchphrase comedy was a thing for fucking so.
No, I agree. I just mean, like, I think some of his went on for literal years, and like that was the
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that point too. I think basically, like, we had this abundance of like really good talent, and the community has to kick the shit out of somebody. Like, they just have to. There has to be somebody. It's like every time there's a talent announcement, the reason I fucking hate them, the reason why when I was at E-League, I was steering them towards like, if we have to do a talent announcement, let's do it on like the day. Or the day before at best, because when you let it hang for a few days, everybody's coming in to do the job and they've had to read the fucking reactions to it, which are, because everyone has like a fucking social disorder these days. It's like you can't pay someone a compliment without putting someone down. Like, it's like super happy for Hugo and Harry to be there. Fuck Launders and Scrawny. You're like, where's that come? Why did you need to say that bit? You don't need to say that bit. Or, great analysis desk, no Thorin, brilliant, and it's like, listen, guys, like, that doesn't help anybody, especially like, because they might be at the next event. And then
I'll delete that comment.
And then when you criticize people who are at the fucking event, it's even crazier, because it's like, it can create this weird like friction and animosity. Like, the next thing that'll come up, right, will be, because Machine's going to pair up with Henry at this event, like, as casting, and I think they got a good chance of doing the finals. So you're gonna have Machine, this, like, I know he's been casting for a long time, but this is a relatively new pairing, even though Henry and Machine have done it in the past. And if they get the final, I think that's gonna be like a divider.
Do you get more money for the final, or do you just like get?
Nah,
Doesn't
it's
change
just a
anything.
prestige
I was
thing.
just curious. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a prestige thing. People like to do the finals, which, by the way, it usually, the finals are usually one-sided and bad. You're always better off doing
semi-finals are way better.
Yeah, always better off doing the semis. But people like to get the finals because you get to do the moment at the end, right, when the confetti's raining down and you're doing your little spiel and it goes in a highlight reel, and you're remembered forever. You're
the best fucking team in the world. All the classic ones we remember.
Yeah, so people like to do the finals for that. And plus as well, it's almost like kind of an endorsement that you're the best caster at that moment in
status
time.
I think is bigger than sometimes than doing the match.
Do people really think that like a personal ego thing?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because think about it, right? Imagine you did think you were the best, and then they just never put you on the final. There's always as much as you want to believe. Like, listen, on one level, talent get along, and they literally that is their friends as well. That's who they have to travel to every event with. But at the same time, you are competing with each other. You want to be the guy in the spotlight, as it were.
Yeah, we're all friends, but I'm number one, and you're number two. It's like
best way to be friends.
Yeah, exactly. The only way in some cases, right? So I think that's going to be the divider, because if Henry and Machine end up doing the final at the expense of, say, like an Anders and Moses, which they were only kind of brought in at the last minute anyway, and we don't even know how much of the tournament they're actually going to do, and then maybe a DDK and a James Bardolph, which are a fan favorite pairing. It's going to be an interesting one, because loads of people are going to say, oh, Machine definitely deserves to get a final. Some are going to say Machine doesn't deserve to get a final, and they're not even a real pairing. So I think that is going to be one that's going to cause a lot of consternation, honestly. That's
even one where, by the way, actually along those lines, Davey, one of the things that might surprise you is, believe it or not, probably the most annoyed people if they do the final won't be the fans, by the way. It will be people who are other casters, because in the casting game, basically, the premise goes like this. Your reputation lags, like, let's say, a year. So you might actually have already done all the events, and you might think, well, I'm the best now, like, I'm number one. Because of the way it works, like, Anders and Semler, I've always said this, they actually didn't do many major finals together as a duo. I think they only did something like one. And maybe one as a TriCast. Like, people don't realize like what the way the event organizers do it. They used to hold it as like that was like the ultimate carrot that you were seeking after. So the point is, the idea that like Machine and Henry will only become a duo now, and this is their first event, and they'll go to the major final. That actually, to some people, I don't necessarily know what side I come down on that either way, but that actually would cause some people to be a little bit like annoyed. Like, hey, I was working my way up the ladder. Like, what the fuck? These guys skipped me just because this guy was a famous host. Like, what the fuck's that? Like, that is how some people will feel in the scene.
I'm surprised they don't do more TriCasts for finals.
I agree. I think they can be good.
I thought they were great.
Yeah.
I think a TriCast, like, you have to be a group of people that have either casted together in various iterations down the years, so you have a chemistry, or you have to be a recognized TriCast.
I think ideally the best way to do it would be you have a pair of commentators, right? Like, you have two guys who are commentators, they commentate together. They're going to be saying 95% of the things that's going on. But then every now and then you have one of the analysts who's there, and they're like, "Yo, what happened? What happened, Sponge?" And then Sponge comes in and is like, "Well, actually, this, boom," and they just add like a little quick thing in the freeze time, and then back to the commentators. But he's like right there, like in the cast with them.
It never really ends up like that though. In practice, like a fluid TriCast is like very like when Semler, Anders, and Moses did it, it worked because they all knew each other and they're all very experienced. But then like think about some of the like horrific ones where it's like, it's your boy D-Man, and it's like, oh god, no, and then everyone's like talking over each other. And
you go back to those old first majors, some of those first ones have some rough fucking pairings that they were just creating out their ass on the spot. Like you say, when they just added like a D-Man to other people, it's like, what the fuck was this guy? I think wasn't there an event where the final was like Henry G, Sean Gares, and D-Man TriCast. Like, who made this TriCast?
I know, it's fucking, that's insane, isn't it? That's
something like that. Something that's
like an insane nightmare. So yeah, I agree. I think it's got like potential if that third person basically doesn't mind being like a tool to be utilized. What usually happens is
the
ego
cock,
dictates.
As I refer to them.
Yes, ego dictates they must talk more. Because obviously you wouldn't be a broadcaster if you didn't have a little bit of ego. So TriCasting's tough.
I'm
not
weird
a fan of it myself. Well, listen, see, this is why shows like this are good, because we're bringing together the two worlds, the players' world, the broadcasting world, and we're all learning from each other.
Well, there you go.
But let's move on. Let's leave the talent announcement in the back. Let's quickly touch on Fnatic, and then we're going to get into our major predictions and everything else. So it finally happened, guys, and I'll do my usual preface of I really like the guy, really like him, but exist. has been benched with immediate effect at Fnatic, along with Twist as well. We've been covering this on the show for a while, that Fnatic, apart from that weird little aberration they had where they suddenly were very competitive at tournaments, it's mostly been a downward trajectory. They haven't looked all that great, and as Crims's like godlike form has kind of like just segued into him being very good. And now actually, I suppose not even that, if we're being honest, as he's got a little bit exhausted and despondent. The team has been average. Not qualifying for the major is huge for a team like Fnatic. They've been at every major until this one. So I honestly think at that point, you have to look at the in-game leader. I mean, even if you believe Exist is a good in-game leader, which by the way, guys, me and Duncan don't. So we'll get your take on that, Davey and Corey. I think he's a capable player, but I've never rated him as an in-game leader. It always felt like something he did out of necessity, not out of talent. So I kind of feel you have to pin the blame on him. And let's be honest, like Twist did fucking drop off too.
He didn't play up to par.
Nah, not
Twist
with
has
what-
never lived up to his potential, though. Really,
Yeah.
He's
always mad streaky.
He's always that guy that people are like, oh, Nip should pick him up, and like I think back then he actually would have probably been as good as people thought, but I think he waited too long, like honestly, and I don't know if he got worse, but it seems like other people got better and he stayed the same kind of, and like I don't think he's a bad player, but people hyped him up to be like kind of like the next Forrest, like the young like a next level like really good aimer, and I'm not impressed by him, but I'm not like wow, which is what I think a lot of people think.
No, the analogy I would give for him, I think you're on the good track there, is like he's like the guy who could have, like, he got an offer to join like a big band that's like a fucking stadium rock band, and he was like, nah, I just want to stay in my like local circuit, and just play with like your local musicians. It's like you're never going to get to probably like the zenith of your craft in that sense. You're probably just going to chill. You're still good. Like in your little field, you're a big fish in a small pond. Cool. Like actually getting to Fnatic was like the fucking like a big moment for this guy. Even like the fact that he even went in these teams a couple of times. But you can see if you've ever seen any interviews with him, he's not faking it. Like he just doesn't seem like a guy who's that arsed about being a top pro. I think to him, he's one of those people where it's like he wants to be a pro, but on his terms.
He's a classic Swede in that sense. I mean, I talked about it before. We've had Swedish players in Source were notorious for this. They would put teams together and they would be fucking unreal and wrecking everybody, and then it would be like, right, it's the summer, lads, fuck this, and they'd stop practicing, they'd be out partying, drinking, and the team would just break apart, and that happened like multiple times, which is why like the very best Swedish Source players used to have to kind of look further afield and play in European lineups, like fucking Hellblinder. He had that international lineup with Reason Gaming where he played with like Danes and Norwegians and like all the other Scandics that were kind of locked into that similar spot. Basically the Swedish lineups never fucking lasted, and Twist feels like a relic almost of that kind of thought process. I suppose it's a little bit different in the sense that we did have like two fucking unreal Swedish teams in CS:GO. So there probably wasn't a lot of room or a lot of reasons to be motivated, right? Like, if you know
He's
you're
out.
not going.
He's disgraced. He's disgusted that you dared talk shit about God.
There it is.
And that's it.
These NIP fans, right? They're fucking just shameless going down with Hitchum.
I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, though, is like what you said, people going and partying, is now that there's more money in the game, people aren't willing to do that as much. It's like,
of course.
Back in the day, you didn't really get salary. You kind of played as a hobby / to win money, and then eventually you got a little bit of money. But honestly, for a lot of guys, it wasn't really worth it to skip out on having a lot of fun for a couple months. So they would drop off, and then they would come back in the wintertime, kind of like when all the fun stopped. But now that, people are getting like real salaries and there's no reason to stop and to waste their time, or not waste their time, but they can prioritize better.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but that's the thing that's always stood out with Twist. It's like, clearly it's not a priority for him.
Yeah, no, I was just saying in general. But yeah, with him, I do think there's something off about him, because he declined the NIP offer multiple times. So why? Like why? Like, I don't know. Originally, I always heard the rumor that he was scared of flying, but I don't know if that was true or not.
I will say, like, people now, I know already they're going to say it, like, oh, it's because of all the problems that he knew about in Nip. It's like, he's playing in smaller teams, you daft cunt. What, you think they're having better financial scenario than Nip? I don't think so somehow. Like the point in that scenario is, like that whole area, if you know how Fnatic had their financial problem, like, everyone in the Swedish scene wasn't in a great place in that sense. So that never really worked as an angle. It's way more likely, as we're talking now. I mean, I've even spoken to the guy in the past. Like, he just doesn't have the personality. He's not one of those guys who has like a mad drive to be the best, or like wants to be at every tournament. Like actually, that's one thing some people just don't get is like even if I say I don't like some events, if there's like a major going on, yeah, actually you do miss not being there. You do think when you're at home, like, oh, it'd be cool to be there, wouldn't it? Oh, wonder what it's like to be in that stadium now. Some people, I guess, don't have that. Maybe they're just like, yeah, it'd be cool if it was, but yeah, well, whatever. Got the summer off, maybe they don't mind. Different mentality.
Yeah, and I nearly forgot. So hang on, we haven't even summed up. We didn't talk too much about Exist. So the right move to cut him.
What do you think, Semphis? What do you actually think of as an in-game leader?
This is my opinion on him.
Like, you like the loose style guys, right?
Well, yeah, but I think it depends on lineups, right? Like, I think Exist was fine in the NIP lineup when Get Red and Force were better than everyone. So, like in my opinion, Exist was a better caller for that team than someone like Existence would have been, because he would have had them stratted up. They wouldn't have had freedom to do stuff. So I actually think in like that scenario, Exist is good because he doesn't really call much. He's probably just going to direct them around, like default. It's a 4v4. He's going to tell them to go back to B. Get Right's going to do his thing. You know what I mean? It's more like, it's like you said, it's loose, but it works if your teammates are all better than everyone. But as soon as you start needing more like in-depth tactics and kind of reading teams, like with Astralis you have Glaive, and it's like you can tell that like there's a lot more going on behind the scenes in terms of like why they're doing things, and you never get that from Exist watching Fnatic play. It's always just like kind of like a strat into something that was pre-planned, and I think it's way too easy to read for these top teams. Like you have to throw wrenches into things because everyone does the same stuff now. Like everyone's doing pretty much the same strats, the same setups. Like it's about kind of like breaking off and kind of a lot of mini anti-stratting, I think, goes in on top level right now, where it's like not maybe that you're counter-stratting a whole setup or whatever, but that Simple likes like these 3 spots, so we're going to do this to like bait him into death. But it's still based off your strat, you know what I mean? And I don't think he does that. And I think they're allegedly replacing him with Golden, right?
That's the rumor, I think. And also people like thought Golden was going to go to NIP though, so I guess no matter what, he's coming back to one of the teams. I will say, by the way, in line with that, there was an interview that I haven't released yet, where I did it with Rambo when he was the coach of Cloud9. I asked him in this interview, right, basically, what was it like when Flusher was like temporarily the in-game leader of Cloud9? And this is a very telling comment when you consider that obviously it's the same initial squad Fnatic. He said, all he used to do is what he called the Fnatic system, which is basically you just play off the defaults and then individual players make any of the players they want. Well, that is basically the Swedish scene, if you think about it. Look at like NIP,
yeah, it is.
Look at Fnatic. Like, I always used to tell people this. The reason why I came up with the concept of NIP magic is because every great moment that like NIP or Fnatic ever had is a player doing some crazy shit. It's Flusher doing an unreal 1v3. It's Get Right winning some godlike clutch. It's Forrest popping everyone in the head. It's always, or Freiburg doing something. Oh, what's he done? It's always an individual moment. Meanwhile, if you go and you look at some of the teams, Astralis is a great example. There's a reason why some of their victories are boring to fans, because what you don't know is the actual genius of the match was how they just destroyed like a B execute 10 times in a row. But if you can't see what was going on there and what they actually maybe neutralized, it looks to you like it was just a boring game. It was just easy. Oh, they just walked in the side. It's like, no, like unfortunately, like they didn't just win off the individual flash in that sense, So it's not like one's better or worse, but it does make it pretty obvious that we're like, I even used to say it when Pronax was the best. Like, come on, man, he was never the best in-game leader. He just was good at like that. He was also like a better version of Exist. He had quite good mid-round calls. He would set the team up. He didn't have a massive ego. But aside from that, he got the fuck out the way and let Flusher and Olaf Meister and JW make the players they were going to make. A lot of that did come from them, I'm afraid, guys.
Yeah, and like, so to pick up on the point about Golden coming in, and it'll obviously have to be +1 as well. Fingers crossed. I keep wanting to see the return of Olaf, honestly.
I think it'll be Flusher, right? Like, most likely.
It was implied. Because he himself was the one who started the hashtag nothing in PayPal when Fifth Line was. So I'm guessing he's not joining NIP. Just going to go ahead and say that.
Oh, no. That's definitely not happening.
He goes, listen, I'll cheat, but I've got standards, mate.
I mean, if you think about it, like Golden and Flusha are 2 direct upgrades, right? So
Yeah.
in theory, their teams should be better. Plus, Flusha's played with them already, so.
Yeah, but they played with each other and it wasn't working.
But that was
it feels really regressive.
When's that ever stopped anyone in Counter Strike?
No, exactly right. But like, are we going to keep doing this? You know, like, I mean, there was all sorts of stuff going wrong before. People were like chafing each other, fucking, getting on each other's fucking nerves. This all came out in the past. It's like, what? So Flush is gonna, because he spent some time in Cloud9 and seeing what a real fucking shit show looks like, what he's gonna come back with a renewed appreciation. I don't know, man. I mean, like for me, I want to see the Olaf Crims duo again. I want to see if that can still have some magic. I think Fnatic could benefit from just a lift from, that's the kind of return you want. They've been separated for fucking a long, long time now. Flusha kind of coming back. I mean, one of the reasons they cut him was because apparently it wasn't working and, somehow they couldn't find the balance on the roster. And, they're already bringing Golden back in, who they backstabbed out of the fucking team when they were winning events. So it's an ultimate admission
Which
from
was
the
classic
guys
banter, I've got to say.
Yeah, it's an ultimate admission from the guys who fucked Golden over and like literally, like by the sounds of things, put him into a fucking iron lung. It was that bad. It was like that catastrophic to his soul. He's been like ill, can't get on planes. It just has done nothing with his career. But they won back-to-back, big events when he was there, and it was all like, everything was working. You're just admitting that all the changes you made were garbage and for nothing, and we're gonna walk it back now.
Here's the thing. I actually think what's really happening is that Exist's being bought out by Ents, because I always used to say that Existence is the best in-game leader. So
terrible.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm working with nothing here, boys. It's not like I've got. Do what I can.
That's fucking hell. We need to get Davey back. Fuck.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, hurry up, Davey. So okay, there was one other thing that Davey's just messaged us in the group saying he's been EMP'd. He says like nothing's working. He's just been fucking, someone struck him. That's what happens when you make them fucking jokes, man.
I know.
They got the wrong person. They
just so everyone knows, I'm in good mental standing. I have no plans to kill myself.
There we go.
I love life,
Dude, I start every stream with that, so you've got to play it safe. But look, so we nearly forgot about obviously the report that DK made, which was that Alexi B likely to be dropped from Ents. And Sunny, the move that we were talking about potentially happening for a long time, and then Ents suddenly became contenders at tournaments. This is a move that now looks like it's actually happening.
Always overshadowed the team, though, didn't it? That's the problem. Like
I agree, yeah.
It's always happening. It happens in every scene. The same with NIP when they're supposed to get a player something coming, when there was the Epsilon guys. It's like, unfortunately, when the community gets in their mind that a move is inevitable and there is a player who is good who isn't in your team. It's like when Simple wasn't in Na'Vi. You knew one day he's going to have to play Na'Vi, isn't he? Like, they're the best CIS team. He's the best player. Like, you can only avoid that for so long. And obviously, like, both of these moves happen in what in vaguely makes sense. Like, when they feel like they can't be the best anymore, you make the big drastic move.
Yeah. I agree. It definitely did overshadow. The problem you've got when there's like this player that's always kind of like destined to come into the team, every time you have a runners-up spot or the guy who is the natural replacement, people say, if we had Sunny, how good could we have been if we had Sunny? And it does create this weird kind of humor around the team. It kind of almost forced Ents to be as good as what they were. Because if they weren't, then that roster move would have happened. Now, I know Sunny's hungry because he fucking felt pretty pissed off with how the whole mouse sports thing went down. But I don't know about this move, honestly. I want to see Ents at like maybe 1 or 2 more tournaments before they pull the trigger on it, frankly.
I'm confused as what's going to happen because I feel like Ents part of the reason that Ents plays well is their playstyle is so fucking weird. Like if you just watch them play, you're just like, how are you winning? Like you don't have better players. Your style is extremely slow, it's mostly defaulty, but at the same time, they just like kind of work their way into sites. Like they don't really throw many nades. They don't do anything, and it just works out for them. And like on CT side, it's kind of the same thing. They just play their spots every round. I will say they have really good flanks though. Like their players know when to push for info really, really, really well. But and I don't know how much of like the CT stuff probably won't change too much from replacing Alexi B, but the T side stuff, who's calling for them? It's not Sunny. I would guess it would be someone like X7 or something maybe, or I don't think Alu will want to do it. It's not going to be Sergi.
Well, people are speculating. I've seen a lot of comments saying that like they think Ollie's going to take over.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
I cannot
within
imagine.
the team, the perception, at least in the community, is that within the team, Alu's sort of the one who runs this. Like, you know, he's the guy who obviously was the big star when he joined, so he kind of has like the final say, basically. That's the perception, at least.
Yeah, that's going to be weird because he's not a very communicative guy. So I no clue about how that's going to pan out in terms of balance, and it could be one of those things where it's like it seems like the right fucking move, but actually it sets them back ridiculously. It's like I say, for me, I would want to wait a few more events. I'd want to see a really appreciable decline. You know, like with his Fnatic situation, it makes sense because you know it's like rock bottom. You just didn't qualify for the major, right? But with Ents, it's like you're still
already in the final like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, like you still
get second all the time. Like
exactly.
Yeah. It's like, you know, there was a real nice kind of rivalry brewing between this like trifecta of teams we've got with like Liquid, Vitality, and Ents. And obviously Astralis, you know, can't count them out either. You know, right now, you know, the scene could get really, really interesting. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to fuck with that just because I was finishing second or third or fourth, you know, in that melange of fucking unreal teams. Like, it's like, that's a great place to be. You're from fucking Finland, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like, when this team was put together, everyone thought it was like a bit of a joke. When Alu went there, what did we all say? Like, well, he's given up on playing top level CS. He's going back home to fucking retire.
Which I still think he actually did sort of like. Here's the thing. I'm just going to say it. I know obviously he would never consciously say this, but I actually do believe when he went to Ents this last time that the logic was like, whatever. Worst case scenario, I'm taking a year off. I'm at home. I'll go to the Finnish events. I'll get a salary, and if I decide to come back to a top team, I will. If I don't, whatever. Maybe I just phase out. I don't think he went to this team and really believed they were going to become a top team. Come on. It was just so implausible at the time. Remember, the Sergey guy would have been like 15 when he joined or something. Like the odds that he'd become really good, there's loads of players don't make it.
Well, we can get your thoughts now, Davey, now that you're back. Did the EMP, has it been reset?
Yeah, as somebody who lost skins on me didn't like it, I guess EMP'd my house. It was brutal. My cell phone wasn't working. My internet was out. I don't know what the hell happened.
There you go. So what do you make of the Ents move? The Ents, this is the...
Potential Ents move?
Potential.
I think it was inevitable. Like as soon as they started falling off, if you have a guy like Sunny just sitting there without a team, as soon as they start to fall off a little bit, you know that's going to get brought up. Like as inevitably teams have to make roster changes at some point, unless you're the best team forever for the longest time. Like there's always a roster change to be made at some point in the team cycle. And with Sunny just sitting there, I don't know if he's a free agent or if he's still under contract at Mouse or what, but you know, with him just sitting there, eventually this was going to happen at some point. It was, you know, you just knew it was going to happen eventually.
I suspect, by the way, what you just said is probably an angle we should actually highlight, is that since off the top of my head, I actually think when they re-signed with Mouse, it might have been around this time last year. I think it was around like that period because that was when they were still a very good team, and I heard something like that. So that would also be another reason why it would have been very convenient for them to be like, well, we won't pick up Sunny now while we've just had these good results. Because if you already know his contract's got like 4 months left, 5 months left, why not just run it out? Why not just think to yourself, well, we'll have the option in 5 months, just see how it goes. And if we're not I don't say number one because they didn't even know they'd be number two, did they? But you know, like if we don't do well enough, then we bring him in. Like it would even make financial sense to do it that way, because that way you have an excuse to keep the other guys pretending you're being a nice guy, but really you're just doing what also makes financial sense. Because I don't think Ents would have the money for a huge buyout, put it that way.
No. You also don't know what shape Sunny's going to be in right now. He hasn't played in a long time. You don't know what you're getting with him right now.
And he dropped off at the end, right, just before he left as well. He was in bad shape.
Playing with his fellow countrymen might help him. You know what I mean? Like it might help him rediscover his form. But
I actually think I agree with what Semphis said earlier, though. Like the thing that makes it the most shocking element to me is the fact that, like, I even did an article where I said this in it. Like, listen, if you want to ask me who the best player in ENCE is, yeah, it's Sergey. Like, he's easily the best fragger. If you want, like Ali's probably got the best all-around game because he's such a veteran. But the difference is, like, the most important player I thought was LXEB, because like their whole strength for me was the style of play that they had. Like, I actually totally agree with you, Semphis. I always used to say, me and Richard have said it many times, what makes ENCE amazing is that their players absolutely should not be at the level they're at. Like, Sergey maybe can. Alu has played at that level. The others, they're not world-class players. Like, the aerial guy, mate, ever since that org nerf came in, he's just an average player. The X7 guy, all the credit even people give him is sort of like, better than he should be. I thought he was shit. Like, that's like the compliment you get if you're him. So the idea that team could be beaten out, like, look at some of the fucking squads. Like, go look at the NRG squad right now. Look at the skill disparity there. I know to an idiot they might be like, but they place way lower. Mate, the skill man for man in NRG versus ENCE is unbelievable. Like, NRG look like fucking Team Liquid in comparison to the fucking ENCE squad. Like, it's ridiculous.
But ENCE would, like, beat them. That was the weird
exactly,
thing. Like,
yeah. It's legit.
And consistently, not like a fluke, like consistently, like showing that this isn't like a one-time thing where everybody overperformed. That was what was so cool about them.
Right. Sorry, I was just getting bombarded by a fucking moron. It like blew my mind because I said something.
Would you fight him if you had a chance?
You know, I'm a man of peace. I'm a man of love. That's what I am.
Richard, if it was
walking
possible,
the earth like Cain, you feel me?
If you got some sort of mad, like scanners level telepathic ability to...
Oh, dude, you don't even want to know. Like, heads to be blowing up every motherfucking day, like every day. Every day. The media would be writing about the head popping epidemic and how it's happening and looking at all the reasons. I wouldn't tell any of y'all motherfuckers. You wouldn't even know that I was popping all them heads. They would literally think there would be a report like, and we're getting bizarre reports of some sort of a rapture.
Me and my best friend have like that running inside joke where we see people commenting stupid things and we just say to each other like, oh, they're so lucky we don't have superpowers. Like, oh, if we had superpowers.
How dark would that be if there was a Superman movie where you just went around beating the fuck up?
No, there actually is though. There's this new movie, I forget what it's called, but it's like it's literally
Brightburn or something. Is it?
I don't know what it's called.
I think
but
it's
like what would actually happen if somebody realized they were fucking invincible? It's like, oh, you're all fucked. Like,
they've explored it quite a bit. Yeah, Brightburn, they did it in Chronicle as well, and obviously The Boys just came out, the TV series based on the comics. So, but I'd abuse the fuck out of that. Like, I'd be insufferable because we got to cure stupidity. And I think I can cure it by popping a few heads, that's for sure. But yeah, what this guy said was right. So, like, I said something, okay? I said that, I didn't see the LXEB move coming and I'd like to wait. And then Davey said, I feel like it was kind of inevitable. Me and Davey are two different human beings with two different brains. We exist in, two different bodies. That was insane, right? Isn't it?
There's also no definitive answer right away what's right, isn't there?
Yeah, like
the guy messaged me.
It's a fucking toss-up. Like
the guy messaged me and went, "Wait, but didn't you just say that he shouldn't be kicked, and now you're saying it's inevitable?" I'm like, I'm not.
Also,
Davey.
I never said like.
Also, I was on this show and not scripted by me.
He means it was inevitable. Sonny would join, not that LXB would be. I
never said it was inevitable that right after this major, Alexi B was going to be kicked for Sonny. Like, I never fucking said that. I didn't know who they were going to replace. I don't know anything. I didn't know if it was going to be after this major or a year from now or 6 months ago.
Oh, by the way,
at some point Sonny was going to join.
We can't tie into that angle though, because that's one reason that I'm at. This might sound weird, but I made this point when I wrote this article about Alexi B. One reason I am actually not that surprised that they would remove him. Like, listen, I am on the surface. I think it's ridiculous. I would never do it. Like, I would have thought it was the last person in theory you should remove. But the reason why, like, it's not as crazy as, like, for example, if Glaive was kicked from Astralis tomorrow, would be mental. Obviously, everyone would be like, "What the fuck?" But the reason why this isn't as mad is because if you know the history of Finnish Counter-Strike, they don't like in-game leaders. Like, Semphis, you know this from the days when Lurpus used to play. Like, they're not a fan of, like, super tactics and stuff. They like basic shit. They're like all those players like Rui and content. They just want to do their own style. They love default style. It's Finnish Counter-Strike in general. Like, they're not super tryhards in that sense. So I'm amazed. Like, the guy held it together for a while, but is it a surprise that when egos get bigger and people think they're in a bigger position, that they go against you? Maybe
I think that's one of the main reasons Tommy left, isn't it? Lurpus, sorry. Like, I think that's one of the main reasons he left and went to join the North American team was because he was an in-game leader in a scene where they wasn't valued that highly.
That and the money.
Wow.
It always helps, right? I mean, like, you know, and plus there was a little bit of prestige to it because, like, what they'd done is EG did at that time go around to, like, reach out to a lot of fucking other top players who, like, knocked them back for one reason or another. Like, didn't they approach Neo famously? With
yes,
one of the names
that was before him. Yeah.
Yeah. So they went down this list of, like, fucking, you know, these all-star names, and then
It's
they
like when
got
Stuart
to
2K
Lurvis,
got
so
to go to
he's like,
MIBR,
well, if I'm in this company,
exactly.
yeah.
It's you know, the joke with the MIBR one is they literally did the list. They were like, Simple, no. Nico, no. Shocks, no. And then eventually they were like, Stewie just won a major. And then he came in, you know, but obviously you presented as like, our first choice in the draft was YouTube. Yeah. No, basically. By the way, there's an angle that people have implied that's interesting because you notice the part that's bizarre to me is when there's all these parts that are like he's benched and maybe it's because of his attitude or maybe there's a dispute. The first thing I thought, again, this is maybe where something drastic must have happened behind the scenes because my first thought when I saw this move was Ents might be number 2 in the rankings. Well, they're not anymore. The Vitalities, but you know, they were number 2, but they're not a big org. They're a small org. That's actually overperforming for the org. So my first assumption was, well, listen, if I'm hearing rumors that there's a team out there that's going to be called Zera and Nico, and they're going to need an in-game leader. So my assumption was, he's getting bought out. Like someone with more money's buying this guy out. He's going to go to their team.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't know if he's got that kind of clout, right? Like,
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
Nico's he can't just turn down everyone in the whole world.
But his buyout might be low.
Challenge accepted.
Like you don't know what N's contracts are like. His buyout could be one of the lower ones, making him like easier to buy.
Yeah, if you think when he signed, it must have been a while ago. It can't have been that huge.
Surely they've renegotiated by now. It's just they might not have made a big announcement about it because you know they're Finns.
I think you need to have achieved with more than one team if you want to go on to one of them like big international lineups.
Unlike
so
Neo.
far,
far, side note on the Neo
is kind of an aberration, right?
I feel bad for the people that just started watching in CS:GO and didn't get to experience Neo. Yeah. They didn't get to experience it. It's like all the people that are CS:GO fans right now that are in the chat or whatever that or watching the video that haven't watched 1.6 and didn't get to experience Neo. Imagine when the next CS game comes out and there's a new wave of fans and hypothetically Simple's like the worst player in the pro scene. And think about what that'll do to you. That's what it's like for people who are 1.6 fans that were now Neo's on face and you're just
but then again, you know, you gotta put it on yourself. You gotta put it on yourself. Neo should have hung up his mouse by now.
Listen, that's up to him. I'm just saying it from a
no, he means not to save your legacy in that sense.
Yeah. Like if you've got a legacy of being the best, like you have to think every time I play and I play bad because I can't cut the mustard no more. That's me effectively fucking up my own legacy. Like if you choose a paycheck over the legacy, and keep in mind, he could go get a paycheck doing anything else. He could be a fucking analyst. He could be a fucking commentator. He could be a manager. He could start his own team. He could go work at a peripheral company. Like, he could walk into any job at any level of esports tomorrow. He's choosing a play. Right, so it's like, okay,
it's just sure he probably loves Counter-Strike on some level.
I was just about to say,
of course he does.
What, like, I don't even think he's hurting his legacy that much because the people, listen. I'm gonna explain why, and you might agree with me, you might not at the end, but
I'm strapping myself in.
For the people who think Neo's the GOAT of 1.6, right? The people that remember him in that way, from the beginning of CS:GO, he was never. It was clear he was never going to be that. So from 2013. Everybody already knew he wasn't going to be that in CS:GO. So there was so whether he's playing now or then, it makes no difference. He's not like ruining his legacy more by playing more. He was always like this as far as CS:GO is concerned.
But
so
come
for
on,
CS:GO people, he was never the best.
The difference, even at moments when he was like, he had a renaissance. Remember when he was open for a bit in the team and shit? Like,
I remember
all that? And it was like we were all sat here and we were all going like, "Fucking hell, Neo, he's still doing it!" Like after all this time, isn't it insane that he's now we watch him and we go, "I'll make it."
I'm just saying,
stop.
For the people who think he was the GOAT, he's not like that's never going to change. Like. Like it's not going to change, so it doesn't matter.
Means, and it's like what you said at the beginning. The new generation will never know Neo.
They'll just never know. It doesn't matter.
Here's a good example. So Semphis, the reason why, because I know you watched all the demos back in the day, 1.6. The reason why I get mad triggered by people like overrating Forrest when he has the occasional pop-off game now is it's like, guys, if you think this is his top form, I've got news for you. If you could get in a time machine with me, or just if you installed 1.6 and you understood the game, like he used to literally be like. he would have months where he'd have like 3 months where it'd be like simply just be doing it every game, dropping like 30, just wrecking everyone in the most insane way. So like the difference is massive. I get why people want to believe, you know, that you're back to your level, but Forrest in CSGO, especially last year, is nowhere near.
I don't think Forrest plays enough. Like I feel like
he's also not a guy who's got the killer instinct in that sense. You know, he's never going to do like 100 hours.
Like if he was playing like 8 FPLs and stuff, I think you'd see like he's the kind of guy that uses high sense. He's like very like technical orientated. Like he kind of those type of players need to play. I think like although like think about it, he's that good not playing a lot. So like naturally he's fucking insane. But what I was gonna say about Neo was like. What people don't understand about Neo is he kind of did it to himself in CSGO because Force and Get Right came over and they never relinquished like star status on their team. They always stayed in good roles and played like that. But Neo very quickly went to an in-game leader, probably out of necessity, to be honest. You know, like
well, they had to kick the Cuban guy, didn't they? So they couldn't keep him anymore.
Yeah, and there was probably like not very many people that understood the level of the game as well as he did, and you know, aren't willing to do it. I know they had Taz call on and off randomly, but realistically, I feel like it was probably most of Neo's stuff, and Taz was just calling.
As far as I know, most of the best results were when Neo was the in-game leader. It's just that, just like in 1.6, mate, the reason they would swap in-game leader around is because they didn't want us to have to swap players. So it was a way to not make you have to kick someone every time. You could be like, oh, he's going to take over for a while. But as far as I know, they only did that when there was a problem, basically. Not because it was the best option.
Yeah. So I just think I don't know. I just think like Neo, if he would have stayed in like the star role and stuff, you don't know. Maybe he would have been better at Go. Maybe he just didn't have it in Go. I don't know. But yeah, he never showed his 1.6 potential. And Forrest did. Forrest at the start of CSGO was like a monster. You know, he was running around one tapping people. But I don't know. It's a lot of what ifs in this game because there's so many variables. You know, like will Simple remain the best? Can he still play 12 hours a day every single day for like years on end? Like at some point he's not going to play that much, you know, like and it will happen. Like people like to have told me like Shroud used to tell me back in the day like, oh, I'll never stop playing Counter-Strike all day. And I was like,
sure.
I was like, okay, like all right, man. Like he's like, yeah, I just love games. I want to play games all day. I would never like blah blah blah.
Back in the day, like especially for Source players, like it didn't matter what fucking new game came out. We all had a solemn vow that we were gonna quit fucking playing Source and we were gonna go hammer that fucking game and it was gonna replace it. But it's the Counter-Strike fucking thing, man. You always come back to it. But like even TF2, I knew players that in Source who were like, let's go and be TF2 pros. Like, why the fuck would you want to do that? You know what I mean? But like people gave it a go, or every time there was a World of Warcraft expansion, the whole fucking scene just stopped. It was just like none of us are practicing, agreed, and we would all swear that and everyone would just go away and do it. Like go talk to fucking MBK about what World of Warcraft expansions would do to the French scene. Like players would just disappear; they wouldn't even talk to each other for months. And
the worst ever, mate. And this is like us. You're gonna think this is just a ridiculous joke when I say it, but it's a very good analogy. People because before World of Warcraft, I'm that old, that the one before that was EverQuest, was the really big one before World of Warcraft. And famously in CS, we used to literally call it Evercrack. And the reason why is because you would have like a top player who used to be really good and you'd be like, whatever happened to him? And it would be like, if they went on drugs, it would be like, oh, he just got in with a bad crowd. And then, you know, he was just spending more and more time away. And eventually, don't know where he is
12 hours a day, man.
Yeah, they would just go off it. Like I've told this story before. The moment I knew that one of my friends who was in Team 3D, actually, one of the best squads, the moment I knew his career was fucked was when I was at a CPL. And by the way, this is back when like CPLs were the equivalent of majors, but there was only one like every 3 months, every 4 months, right? Other than that, you wouldn't have many LAN tournaments. So you'd think, right, you're going to put it away for the LAN tournament and practice, right? In the BYOC, between games, he would go and start playing like fucking EverQuest or World of Warcraft. And I was like, it's over for you, mate. If you're at the World Championship and you can't get away from it, you're just done. Like, and I was watching it thinking like, you know, this guy's a smart guy. Maybe I'll get into it. And it's just him walking everywhere with like a bird or something. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you get a gun or something? Like, he goes, no, I'm just going to kill this pig. I was like, what are you doing? What is this? Is madness.
Oh yeah, those MMOs, dude. Right. Well, look, we can get into the major talk, which was the whole reason why we did the crossover episode in the first place. Like we've been talking about fucking EverQuest and steroids for 2 fucking hours.
All right.
Yeah, it's all good. Let me actually get the fucking list of the games. All the
I got it up here. You want to get a
okay,
link?
good. Yeah, make sure you all do the same too. Actually,
Yeah.
because we were talking on the podcast about how they fucking. I thought they announced this like pretty late.
I thought so too.
Considering you want to generate,
I
all the hype and
waited
everything.
to do my pick'em till the first round matchups were released, and I noticed when I did it, it said on that like timer, there's like 5 days and something hours left, which is like, listen, that's still plenty of time in theory, but remember that you got a lot of casual people watching. They're probably not super up to date. So I agree. I would have done that like 2 weeks out personally.
Yeah.
Also, from a player perspective, they probably knew the matchups like a little bit in
right.
advance, way before we did.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the matchups. We got Vitality versus. How do you say it? Is it Simon? It can't be Seaman.
It is for us. It is
to be
for
fair,
us.
they obviously answered them. What is Seaman Gaming? You don't like Seaman?
Everybody
Mate,
who knows
it
Corey knows
can't
he's
be
got the perfect
Seaman.
pronunciation on everything, and
true.
everything he says is correct, and it's semen.
You
How
guys
the
will swallow anything.
I mean, there's a segue
It's
into
protein,
fucking Dick
right?
Stacy's pathetic sticker here, but
Exactly,
I feel
yeah,
like
Cold Zero.
Corey
Listen,
always
gotta get my
wants the
protein up.
protein.
Exactly.
Right?
Corey will do
Yeah.
anything for protein.
Like Jesus Christ, like Vitality, the Vitality versus Seaman. This is happening, is it?
That sounds like some sort of an advert for Cialis.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just thinking.
You know what I mean?
Isn't that
I was
why
just
John
thinking
Jones
that.
tested positive?
Yeah.
I was taking details.
Obviously, your old boy RPK is getting that new fucking dye put in his grey hair. Want to bring some life back to your relationship? It's not like the
Mate.
old days in Source, is it? New
I'm calling
Vitality
him
scheme.
Simon. I'm calling him Simon. I don't give a fuck. They're called
If you want
Simon.
that rock solid game like me, RPK.
Right. Anyway, NRG versus Dream Eaters. G2.
Don't have Seaman versus Dream Eaters. Get me out. By the way, can we just combine these teams and make a super team? Seaman Eaters.
Yeah, let's say G2 versus Tyloo. North versus Ints, Furia versus Hellraisers, Mouse Sports versus Forza, Vanguard versus Complexity, and Crazy versus Greyhound. So we'll just go through all of them, and we'll try and do it as quickly as we can. Because I'm conscious of your guys' time. I don't want to keep you here all day. Vitality versus Seaman. Simon.
Yes,
Vitality,
fuck.
pretty. I think that's pretty easy.
Yeah,
That's
I
going
don't
to be
think...
a Bukake session.
I'm gonna be honest.
A lot of heads getting spread.
A lot of semen dropped.
Exactly.
Can't deal with it. But no, but like this team has had like a lot of.
We're all adults, by the way. We're all adults.
Yeah, I know. Just the word semen.
We're all grown men. That's
Yeah. Well, look, it could be worse.
Listen,
Like,
we
I've
all
always said,
started
like,
as seamen.
War Clown's name is Seaman Ass Henriksen. So
Get me out.
that's actually real.
That's like, what does he do when he
That's
passes his
actually
passport?
real.
Seaman ass.
I know it's a rough one. It's a rough one.
What's he doing?
Parents obviously not thinking about the English language at that time. Seaman Ass Henriksen. So yeah. Shout out to my boy War Clown.
Maybe that's how. Well,
Fair
I'll
play,
leave
but-
that one. We'll leave that one. I've got to edit some of these.
And scene, and we just end that one there. Right. Anyway, so look, this Simon team that we've that I've heard so much about. A lot of people are like talking about them being this up and coming team in the scene, but they have all these like strange results. They're always getting accused of match fixing. I'll just fucking say it. People are accusing them of that all the time because they seem to like upset like good teams and then sometimes lose to like underdogs. And I'm obviously not giving those allegations any credence because, as we all fucking know, Team Liquid get accused of fucking throwing games and all sorts of dumb shit in the scene.
every single team ever gets throwing games.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't put any credence into it, but they're a team that has a very, first of all, a lineup of players that are like, you never heard of them. Real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
Unless you're going for the underdog picks, I think you just pick Vitality here. Like,
Yeah.
Funny thing is, the only person, literally, there's only one person even vaguely involved with that team that I know, which is the coach, because he used to be, because he's from Kazakhstan, on that team K23 and 1.6.
Oh, really?
I remember them.
Who-
Yeah, he
who
used
is
to be
this?
with the Dren, that guy called
With the Dren.
Slimar.
Yeah.
He was around
Oh,
forever,
really?
then.
Yeah, so like
Really?
way
He's
back
their
in the day,
coach?
we used to know him in 1.6. So that's the only reason I know this team, though. Like, I don't know any of the players, obviously.
Yeah, so I got to say Vitality for this one. I don't think it's even a particularly interesting matchup because I think it'll just be one of those ones where it's like Vitality, you're going to do the classic slow start from the French. So it'll probably be like one of those like just dull, like sort of fucking. They'll give up like 8 rounds or 10 rounds or something because they're not really trying, and it won't be great Counter Strike. So I think that's going to be not a fun game to watch, honestly. Now, NRG versus Dream Eaters, I'm kind of more interested by because Dream Eaters were a big surprise for me in the CIS qualifier. I wasn't really. They weren't a team that I expected to do too much to be there, but they actually look pretty decent. And NRG, as we know, they've kind of been away trying to get this whole thing going with Stanislaw coming back into the team. And I don't know how well it's been working because, as we said, when he came in, we all expected a honeymoon period again. Tarek and Stan back together. Daps getting cuckolded, like watching from the wardrobe, just the way we like it. But they didn't jump up in levels. So it's kind of like now that they've had all this time to work on things, how much better are they going to be? And I almost feel this is like one of the few potential banana skins here. But like NRG should be favorites, but just Russian play style is fucking like nothing else.
The complexity we're talking about, right?
No, NRG.
Energy.
Oh, we skipped to the NRG Forza.
No, this is
NRG
NRG versus Dream Eaters.
Oh, right.
Dream
Sorry,
Eaters
yeah.
are Russian.
I was looking at the wrong one. Never mind.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's you thinking of a Vanguard complexity. Yeah. So we'll get to that. But like the Russian playstyles, like nothing else. Like they just do fucking weird and wacky shit. And I think a like heavily structured team coming up against that could have a fucking tough time. Like I almost feel that is like a ticking time bomb for NRG, especially when they have to do so much better at this major.
This is what I think about Energy. I feel like Stanislaw, like they definitely needed more time, but Stanislaw kind of takes up a big presence on a team. Like he's not a bitch in game leader where he just kind of like does all the stuff no one wants to do. He kind of like lurks and like plays decent spots on CT. So I'm interested to see if like he's gonna be more supportive on this team because I don't know who else is gonna do it. Breeze and Ethan. Breeze is fucking insane, so you just leave him doing what he's been doing. I suppose Ethan could take more of a back seat with Tarek, but I don't know. I think Stanislaw has to kind of commit to being like that in-game leader that just kind of does stuff that no one wants to do. And if so, I think this team can be actually pretty insane. But I also think Sork needs to step up because he's been fairly inconsistent lately. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that team's going to have.
That is a solid observation. Like, I feel like Cirque's definitely lost a half step. Not like a Joe Biden half step.
Dude, when he came into NA originally, he was insane. It was like every game, just 30 and 12. He was like simple over here. He was like the NA simple, but I don't know. I feel like it might be confidence thing with him. He seems very emotional on his performance.
He's a pretty quiet guy, I have to say. In fact, a lot of that team is like that. They have a lot of quiet guys. That's actually why one angle, as much as like Daps obviously was not exactly a great fucking motivator in that sense, Stanislaw himself's not a super social guy. Like that's one area in their team I'm really looking to because I don't know where like the fire comes from in that squad. They have, like you say, I think they have mad talent. They have mad amount of skills mental in that lineup. And in fact, actually, sadly, I think because Team Liquid's so nuts at the moment skill-wise, people are overlooking the NRG squad. They have mad amount of skill in that squad.
I'll tell you, those guys are a lot more social than you think, just because they're not out there so much.
I mean, like sometimes if you like they're the sort of people. If you went up and talked to them at an after party, they'd still be like counting how many shoes they've got.
Maybe you just have that effect on people.
Listen, I'm offering weed and everything. That's a joke. Can't stand that.
Because Cirque is like. Cirque, like it's hard to get that kid to shut up. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard to get that kid to shut up.
Maybe just talk shit if he's in game
when you're playing with him. Yeah, like when you're playing, he never shuts up in FPL. I swear to God.
So are we all for NRG on that one?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, cool. G2 versus Tyloo. Again, this has
upset potential written all over it.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like it did. I don't know, man. Like fucking Tyloo, they are a team that are impossible to get a read on. Like when they have a lineup that on paper is the strongest lineup they've ever had, they disappoint. Prior to that, they had a lineup where they were dragging fucking, Captain Mo, through matches, and
almost they were Australis or whatever.
Yeah, like fucking taking maps off like Na'Vi and all this crazy shit. So it's like, where the fuck are we at with Tyloo?
Dude, they always play G2 close though. If you ever look, like they beat G2 and like it'll be like 16.
Sure, and G2 this is probably the weakest like G2 they've faced.
It's weird.
So it's not vintage G2, is it?
Yeah, that's true.
And Jax and Amanek. So I really don't know on this one. This was another one as well where I was kind of like, I lean towards G2, but don't be surprised if this is like the grindy 16-14.
Remember as well,
on Inferno or something.
I think this is super 50-50.
Remember, G2 fucking love Dust 2. So if it goes to Dust 2, already you're fucking increasing the variability there. So like, I could absolutely see that being like the initial upset of the tournament,
Now, I'll say this completely without even like checking the numbers. I do seem to remember there was a period where Tyloo were dodging Dust 2. What the mistake people were making at the time Tyloo like rose to prominence. Remember, I watched like all the Tyloo games, like some mad fucking turbo virgin, because I just really liked watching Tyloo. And it was massively fanboying on him at the last No Majors club. But the reality is like, people were just picking into their maps, which primarily were Overpass and Inferno. And in the best of one situation, you don't play a Chinese team on Inferno. They fucking love that map. They play it all day long. But there was definitely a period where I think...
Apparently they now do play Dust 2.
They do now play it. Is that according to the chat? So, I mean, that'll be... You're right then. That definitely adds a variable there. But I could definitely see an Inferno game cropping up there. And I think if that happens, that definitely, I might even edge Tyloo by like 1 or 2% there. Like,
in fact, apparently the minor, they even picked us 2 against some teams. So
wow,
maybe we can get to it.
They dodge. They traditionally they used to dodge nuke, and again, I haven't checked what they're doing with that.
Oh, makes sense.
The major, but they used to dodge nuke. But G2 have been playing that, right?
As far as I know, all the French teams like nuke now.
Yeah. So it's an interesting map pool one. Like it super comes down to the veto. I think there's definitely maps that Tyloo can play them close though, for sure.
I'm going with Tyloo. Attacker's going to attack them 30-12. Easy
I like
game.
him. There you go. He's fucking.
It's still summer.
Yeah.
He's doing the broadcast trick, right?
Exactly.
Write down all the silly jokes relating to their names. Throw them all in.
BN Ted's going to be a tough one, but.
But yeah, well, so I mean, so who's for Tyloo here?
Well, the thing is, BN Tet, they would think that they were just saying good head. He's going to give them good head.
Yeah.
Isn't that French?
Bon Tet, yeah. No, you're right.
I'm going to go against my better judgment
really because I speak French. I didn't even think of that.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm gonna go against my fanboy stuff, and I think G2 edged this, but it's marginal. It's like a 16-13, 16-14 game.
It really depends on the map for me, but I think this is super 50-50. It really depends on what G2 shows up. Like, because if Kenny shows up, G2 can always win if Kenny shows up. And then for Tyloo, it really just depends on the map. I'm gonna go with Tyloo, but I think it's really 50-50.
Corey, you said Tyloo, right?
I said Tyloo, man. Tyloo's got this.
Duncan?
16-1.
I'll just say for the sake, I actually think it's possible. So I'll say yes, somehow upset. There's the upset that Tyloo wins somehow. If it goes to Dust 2.
Right, so North versus Ints. For me, like this has to be a North game. Like I got my issues with North. We talked about it on the last episode where I'm like, I think AZ has to step up and become a star player again. Like Valde's doing everything in the team. Like, Kiebi rather's got to step up and be a star player again. It's like Valde's doing everything. You got AZ who's like about as good as AZ's going to be. Gade is like just default human in FIFA. He's just kind of like got 50 or 60 stats. Just basic stats for everything. So
looks like he has a generic face as well.
Meanwhile, Yugi stats are what you do to your mate when he's out the room and you take your star player and you drop him down to fucking 20s because Yugi is a fucking awful AWPer and is like basically he looks like a bit of a basket case as well in terms of like his nerves. So North are not a great fucking team for me, and I think they're going to struggle. But I think they've been given a layup here with Ints. Like I think first of all, Valde's going to be able to do a number. KNG, he knows he's probably going to MIBR, so he's all the fucking way checked out.
Yeah, but he might be playing like a madman, you know.
I was going to say, I think that's actually going to play in their favor more.
But I think he signed the deal, whatever, so it don't matter whether he breaks a sweat or not, right? And then on top of that,
that's what I mean. He might just go for crazy kills.
Oh, right, I see.
Selfish or something,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that could break down the structure. Plus, I've always thought that, like, I felt sorry for Yell in previous lineups and stuff, but I don't think he's that good.
But is anyone else just kind of pissed off that no one else just like took the calling role from Valdi? Because I feel like he's actually like a top 5 player. Like he was on the verge of like breaking into that like Zaiwu like Nico area. Maybe not quite as good, but he was really close.
He was very good on a bad team.
He was easily a top 10 player in the world at the time.
Yeah, he was getting right up there, and I was like, damn, this guy is like. Give him another year. Maybe he joins Astralis, like when they start slumping or need to replace someone. But then now he's calling, and like props to him. He still plays well and everything. But this team
he's still top
needs
fragging.
him. They need him at his like maximum, like not thinking about calling and stuff. But
yeah,
anyways,
I agree with that. I agree for sure. But I mean, like he's doing a good job, especially when you think about the players that he's got around him. I really feel for him in a way because he's learning a trade himself, right? And he's got to somehow try and find it within himself as part of that job to be able to say like fucking Kirby, like, you're a star player, dude, and you got to play like one.
Well, honestly, if you think about it, he sets himself up almost perfectly to join Astralis in the future. He becomes an in-game leader that increases your knowledge and teamwork, and it kind of like a lot of players until they actually call for a team, they don't realize what it's really like to play for the team. Like if you've always been a star player that's kind of been like gifted everything you want, calling him be like kind of an eye-opening, unless you're calling kind of how Nico does, where you just base it around yourself. But most people don't do that, so I don't know. It's weird.
And I think eventually, right, what has to happen is because like Astralis are never getting back to number 1, right? I'm going on the record as saying that.
With
There'll
this
be
lineup.
With this lineup.
I think that's not even that mad a call.
No, I don't think so.
Where they are at the moment. Like they could remember one thing people always forget is sometimes you have eras like when Astralis was number 1, where like number 2 and number 3 barely get to win tournaments. Like I know in a more loose scene, number 2 wins a tournament, number 5 wins a tournament. No, if Team Liquid really dominates now, or maybe Vitality eventually becomes the best, you might just never win if you're Astralis.
So we're gonna see it get broke apart, and we're gonna see North get broke apart at some point. And there's all this young talent coming through. Heroic, you've got fucking the Ex-Optic guys fucking out there, right, with MSL. Like there's gonna be a Danish shuffle of fucking seismic proportions. And I think there's a real potential for almost like 2 dream teams to come out of that. Plus, with a whole raft of new talent where I couldn't even tell you what the 2020 Danish dream teams are going to look like or what would be a dream team then, because we have no idea like who's going to hit their potential, who's going to fall off. It's going to the Danish scene is like one of the most interesting fucking scenes to me.
Just look at the Heroic team. You've got the Blame F guy, looks like a fucking stud. Yep. Stown's still a young guy coming up. Like, in a year from now, not only could Astralis have like Valde, they might not even have him. They might skip him and go to the next big talent for all you know.
Yeah,
I think totally. Astralis' issue is the fact that they just kind of all fell off individually a bit, like Device included, like they just, no one seems to be at that like level where, when they're just dominating and just looked easy. Like they were hitting every easy shot back then, like they weren't all known for, running around one-shotting someone, but like they didn't ever miss easy kills. But lately I've been watching them whiff, like just, they come into B and someone just whiffs a spray and dies. And like, I think if they put in a lot of time before the major and they grind and like their individual skills up, I still think they can win it. I do think they have fallen off a bit though, and I'm not sure if they can come back to it. But I don't know. I feel like it is a lot to do with their skill and not so much like the tactics side of things.
Yeah, I've heard taking an extended break can do that too.
You guys just finish up without me.
Yeah, we'll finish up the show. Well, do you want to give you quick predictions down the list?
I'll do the quick ones then. Right. So I think Fury Hellraise is actually a very interesting one because I personally think that Fury's biggest problem is they don't have that much individual skill, whereas Hellraise is just an absolute mess at the moment, even though in theory they have good players. So I guess in theory I say Furia, but I can absolutely see some ridiculous upset. Mouse probably beats Forza. Like I personally think they're a bit of onliners at the moment. I want to see what they do against top teams online. A Vanguard complexity, I think it's a fucking hard one actually. I maybe see a Vanguard get stacks. Cole doesn't really have a proper in-game leader.
James is gonna fucking own them, dude.
He's going to be
saving every round.
And then, mate,
I didn't say he's going to win.
Just because he looks like Jesus doesn't mean he has to save every fucking time. Like, fucking hell, come on, man. So anyway, whatever. And then I think Crazy will beat Greyhound because fuck people from Australia. Right, that's me.
All right, catch you later, Dunk.
See you later.
All right, so yeah, Duncan's having to do another podcast, so we'll wrap it up here. But I'll get your predictions. We'll continue. So which one of you guys are taking? Anyone taking Ints for this?
Yeah, I'll take Ints.
You think Ints?
I think Ints is going to win it.
I'm going with North. Safe bet.
Yeah, I'm going to go with North for this as well. I think they're playing Ints at the right time, and even though North are a bit of a fucking train wreck themselves right now, I think they'll squeeze through that pretty comfortably. Furia versus Hellraisers. Obviously, Furia, emerged. They hit the top 5. Everyone was talking about them being this like super exciting team, which they were, with this unique play style, and no one had it figured out, and great individual performances. And then they go and sign a contract for 5 fucking years, which is the most insane thing I've ever heard of. Like a 5-year contract in esports is dumb as fuck, but whatever. And then of course they dropped off, because people started preparing for them, looking at the demos, trying to figure out what they were doing so they could beat them. A little bit of dips in individual levels of performance, and now we're kind of like wondering whereabouts they are coming into this major. I think they've been given a gift here with Hellraisers. This Hellraisers team is like, just Hellraisers in general. It's basically just like, can Angel pull off yet another miracle with an international lineup of players that barely speak fucking any sort of common language together?
I feel like that team relies. This whole thing relies on Oscar. Like he has to go back to his old level. If he goes back to his old level, they can do a lot of things, because he's like a mini Simple when he's on fire.
Yeah, no doubt. Like,
I also think this is the best Hellraisers lineup they've had in a while. Like as far as like the org goes, like because Hellraisers for the past how long?
In? Is that what you Nookie and Lowell?
Issa, Lowell, Oscar, and Angel. That's a good lineup, man. Like you said, it really depends on if Angel can bring them all together and get them playing as a unit. But if he does, that's a solid lineup of players. Like Lowell's super under the radar, but he had a point in time, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where he was like close to breaking in. Yeah, he almost joined Optic when Mixwell was over there, because that Spanish, like when they were winning E-Leagues. Like I don't know if it was exact at that time, but it was around that time period when they were one of the best teams.
I said last episode that I felt super sorry for him. He was just one of the guys who just got fucking caught between teams and roster moves, and it wasn't like he'd done anything bad. It wasn't like he was playing bad. It was, because he burst into that team and everyone was like, hell, what a find. And then he just dropped off a little bit and was kind of like still good. But then when that new lineup came in for Mouse Sports, it was like, yep, Lowell's out, see ya. And then it was just like, well, where does he go? And it turned out nowhere. So I'm intrigued to see what he does. I think he's probably just been out of top level CS for just a little bit too long for me. And the other problem they've got, is Issa was fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy good.
Like crazy good last year. And he's not doing that at the moment for whatever reason in this current iteration of the team. He's still a good player, still got a lot of respect for him as a pro. But, there's some question marks. Like, is Lowell going to be able to roll back the years? I thought Nookie, again, he sort of similar in a way. Like, I don't understand what he did to get cut from that old kind of like Imperial lineup, whatever the fuck they're called now. They change their name every week, it seems.
Crazy, I think.
Yeah, crazy. That's what it is. Crazy with the 4.
The thing with the Issa thing, and this happens to a lot of players who aren't very experienced. We were kind of talking about it earlier, but they're not very experienced, and then they get thrown into a pro team, right? And then they're in a pro team and they kill it early on, like they just absolutely kill it, like Issa did. And then everybody tells them how great they are. And when you're inexperienced and you're not used to that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm so great, oh my god, I'm the best. a lot of people, if you don't have the right mentality, and it's not like I'm not saying it to talk shit either, like that's a hard thing to do, to get all that praise all of a sudden and have people tell you how good you are and you're killing it and your confidence is high and everything's good and your team's doing well, and then your team starts to lose and you start to fall off a bit. And now instead of people telling you how good you are, people saying, he's overrated, he's not actually that good, he blah blah all this stuff. And now all of a sudden you don't know how to deal with it because you've never experienced this before. This is a whole new thing. And for a lot of players, that's really hard to recover from. And you have to have good teammates around you. You have to have good coaching staff, good family life. Like, you have to have all these things to help bring you back out of that, because it's really hard for new players when you get thrown into the deep end. And it's like, here, good luck, do your best. And nobody knows how to deal with that.
So how do we feel in terms of this matchup? For me, I think Fury are just going to have a bit too much, kind of raw firepower for them, and I think out of all of the game, all of the teams they could have played, this is probably is about as good as they could have hoped. Honestly, I think this is a very good matchup for them, especially given they're kind of doing their own unique thing in the meta. I'm sure Angel's going to have looked at them and prepared and broke down some of their demos and stuff, but a lot of the players on the Hellraisers team haven't been in the circuit for a bit because Hellraisers haven't been going to all these international lands. It's very different when you're actually playing them. It's one thing when you're watching a demo. So I got Furia for this one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Furia as well.
I just think they're too good right now. Unless all of a sudden they've fallen off super hard, because we haven't seen them in a little bit. But I think Furia is too good.
Okay. Mouse Sports versus Forza. Like Duncan said, Forza have this reputation of being a little bit, onliners. I don't know how fair that is. I mean, didn't they make it to a fucking final of a Copenhagen Games or something? So some fucking, tier 3, tier 2 LAN.
I just don't see them being Mouse Sports should just, I don't know.
So far of these 3 CIS teams so far, between Forza, Dream Eaters, and Simon, I recognize one player out of 15, and that's Face Crack.
And I feel Dream Eaters kind of have the best chance for me, honestly. But yeah, going up against Mouse Sports, I mean, this is going to be a different Mouse Sports to what we've seen. I think it's hilarious. I say this all the time. I've seen Mouse Sports fans saying, fucking this team's actually disappointing me. We're winning these series where we're coming through and we're winning 2-1 and there's 16-14s and 19-17s in there. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant. What are you talking about, you fucking idiots? That's exactly, that shows mental fortitude out of these young players already. And now they've had time to go away and prep for the fucking major. I think it's great that the nature in which they qualified to even be at the major is exciting to me, because it shows that these young players are going to team. Frozen, this is the start of his pro career. Rops is still fucking, how has he been playing? 3 years? In a real team, this is crazy. So I love this Mouse Sports team, and I think they've come so far in such a short period of time, and I think they're gonna relish the opportunity to basically take on one of the weaker teams in the field, and they're gonna start out strong and kind of put down a statement of intent.
Yeah, I think so too. They're my top 8 dark horse. I'm not saying for sure they're gonna make top 8, but they're my dark horse. They're teams that maybe you wouldn't predict to go top 8. I think they will. I think they'll make it.
Corey?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mouse Sports.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't see them losing. I look at it and I'm just they'd have to really choke, let the pressure get to them.
Okay, so then we have a Vanguard versus Complexity. I'm going to completely disagree with my esteemed colleague Thorin here. I don't think a Vanguard have a chance. I think there's something off with this Vanguard lineup right now. I'm like you. I was preaching the evangelical about James. Probably at the start of this year when there was rumors about him going to Na'vi. I was like, there's a guy that could potentially go in. I know he's like a fucking AWPer, but why not, right? He can do a bit of everything. Certainly, Boomich was not one of the names, put it that way. When we were talking about Gambit maybe fixing their team, he was another guy that I was like, because I think Quicket's been playing super well in that team as well. But since they've brought Adrenin, I've looked at some of the games, looked at some of their results. They don't feel like the same Vanguard that had the upset potential. Meanwhile, low-key, this Complexity team, I think they're gonna fucking blow him away. I think this Oboe kid he's ready to fucking tee off. Like this guy's gonna go huge. The only thing I don't like about this complexity team is the fact Ricky's still playing, and I think they'll remedy that after the major. I think Ricky is a player that like, you know, I hate to do it to him. He's a nice guy by all accounts. I mean, I can't remember if we've ever met in person, which would, you know. If we did and it didn't leave an impression, that would pretty much sum up his playing career as well for me. He's like just a fucking average fucking guy at everything he does, and I don't think he can hang at top level Counter Strike. I think he's really really poor. Meanwhile, though, I think this Oboe kid is the fucking secret weapon for them. I think he's gonna go absolutely fucking nuclear at this major, and I think Complexity are gonna squeeze past the Vanguard.
Well, see, I disagree. I think Avangard is going to take this because I feel like Oboe is very aggressive, and guess what? James is going to be waiting. He's going to be waiting. He's going to kill him, and Oboe's going to get triggered, and he's going to be like, "Why the fuck is that guy still holding the flank with an op?" And he's going to tilt, and James is going to win.
There's a minute and 10 seconds left in the round. Why is he saving? He's already. He's still in spawn. What is he doing?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, no, I actually think Avangard's going to win this one.
He does do that,
and I do like. I think for me, honestly, the most disappointing thing about Complexity for me, and hopefully their boot camp is helping out, but for me, I think Sick is the most disappointing thing in Complexity for me. He's been underperforming since he joined the team. He's been not like on Misfits he was good, like, but since he's joined Complexity, he's been
I've been hearing that Sick's gonna break out and go crazy and be a top player in NA for like 4 fucking years. Like
I know. But he was good on Misfits, like, and he's sort of a little bit less on Rogue, and then like a little bit like Complexity now too. It's just like been slowly going down. I don't know what it is. I know he used to play all the time. Like I don't know if he still plays all the time. He definitely doesn't play FPL, but yeah, I don't know. He's been the most disappointing thing for me because Shaz has always been consistent, like as far as putting up numbers goes. Like people can like him, people can hate him, whatever. He's been consistent as putting up numbers. Like he no matter what, when a tournament's over, he always has good enough numbers.
He hasn't been like in some of the games I watched. He's not been AWPing though.
Has Rick been AWPing?
Like I definitely saw in some of the games. It might have been at the Faceit ones at ECS. I'm pretty sure I saw fucking like Ricky picking up the AWP again. Yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. For all the reasons that I've just listed. Like Shazam on his day is fucking.
I'll give Rick more credit for as an opper than you will, I think. But I played with him and I've seen he's really good actually. But I know he hasn't really shown it on Complexity, to be fair. But to be fair, their whole team sort of hasn't. Like I don't know. I think Avangard is gonna beat them. I think it's gonna maybe knock the wind out of them a bit. And I think if Oboe doesn't pop off, it's going to be really hard for him at his first major, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, I got a lot of faith in the kid. I'm kind of the opposite of Corey. I think he's shown a lot of maturity since basically coming in.
I never said anything bad. I said he's aggressive.
No.
James
No. Yeah, but you said he would tilt. You said he would tilt.
Sure.
So I don't.
Anyone would tilt though.
Oh yeah, true. James still in sport. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, it'll test him, but no, I got faith in the kid and that he's going to be able to be that like little bit of an X factor complexity you're going to need. Now, obviously, I'm not saying
I think he's definitely an X factor. I just don't. I don't think it's good. I don't think they can put their faith in him, like or like behind him, like put the team behind him.
I do think Oboe is good. I think
it's too soon for that. I think he's good too. I just think it's too soon to put your team behind a 16-year-old and be like, all right, I hope you win us this one. Like they have to rely on the more experienced players to step up. It's too much pressure to put on him, man. It's too much pressure. It's like, well, if Oboe pops off, we can win this. It's like the 16-year-old with 1 month of professional experience. Fucking how about
strange things happen?
Like how about Sick? How about Ricky? How about Def? How about Shazam? Like you got years of experience there. Like how about those guys step up and let's take the pressure a bit away from
I remember
Oboe
being
here.
told, Sergey was an onliner, Rops was a cheater. Like real talk. I think this is Oboe's time to shine. I got faith. But I'm the only one going for complexity, it seems. You two have got a Vanguard, right? Duncan got it too.
Vanguard.
All right, well, you guys in Twitch chat, keep a note of this. What are you laughing about, Sam? You outrageous bastard.
I'm just running the simulation, mate. It's fine.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I have noticed. Oh, yeah. We've actually got a gif of Duncan. Like, looks like he's doing fucking... He's just had a fucking line.
He's just what? He's here now. Look, he's even nodding. Cheers.
Yeah, he's back. Good job, mate. As if you've actually been setting this up, mate. Is this out because the No Majors Club got fucked, didn't it? Because you were gonna have the fucking boys. You're gonna have Moses, Anders, Duncan, me, you. So it's like brilliant. Like,
don't worry, Rich, I'll be there.
No, but this is what I mean, right? So it's like imagine adding you guys into that, right? The Pickers Advantage crew, the fucking by the numbers crew, all doing No Majors Club together, and then like just a fucking like 5 days out or something. Yeah, you won't be doing that, mate. you won't be doing any of that. Starlad has got different ideas. All them plans that you were doing, maybe going and doing something with Scoots, and go fuck yourself. So I've had to completely rechange everything, and yeah, basically Sam's been working on let's have a virtual Thorin in the fucking.
I've built my own, mate.
We've just built a Duncan. We've just built a Duncan. Like, look at him. See, look at the laugh.
He's reacting perfect.
He's reacting. I know, man. It's ridiculous how mentally ill you are. I love it. Right, anyway, as if you've just sat down there quiet as fuck while we're talking about CS, and you've just built a virtual Thorin. Like, I can't deal with it, mate. Anyway, let's do this last game. Again, thanks by the way, guys, for being super generous with your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Not even for this long, but...
Yeah, sorry, dude.
The longest Corey hasn't eaten in years.
Yeah, I know, right? Crazy versus Greyhound. I've got Crazy for this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can't see it. Like, Crazy's been so good lately. Like, I actually get impressed when I watch them. They seem to they have so many different people on their team that can make plays. Like, it just seems like they're not afraid to make plays. They're not like a team that's kind of like just sitting around like afraid, like, oh my, I can't die here. They'll just go. But like people do stuff off of it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it doesn't seem random though. Like it's not just like, oh, I'm going, hope this works. It's like they're actually like when they have a whole bunch of playmakers on their team, and when one guy does it, it's not like they all just go full idiot, we'll say, because like the other players actually like play around it. Like just I don't know if it's like really good comms or just smart players, but they actually play really good reactive CS. Like it's really fun to watch.
I like I say, look, I think Greyhound were even lucky to get to this major because so much happened in like the Chinese scene, just in Asian CS in general. Basically, like what should have happened is we should have had 2 good Chinese teams, and then it's just like we never even fucking know the name of Greyhound again.
Only one Chinese team's allowed to win, Rich. You know that.
Yeah, right.
You know how it works over there.
Yeah, so now we've got to sort of suffer through this and suffer through Dick Stacy trying to slip in fucking some outrageous, suck his dick, mate. Fucking brilliant. Yeah, great. Love to hear that in post-game interviews. That's not problematic.
Did he say that?
Yeah, because Malta carried them through, so he said that at the minor, basically. Oh, he's brilliant. I'll suck his dick tonight. And I think because you've got an Australian accent, you can sort of kind of style it out. Of course, if anyone else,
that's true. The Australian accents do get away with a lot.
Yeah, honestly, they can say cunt is fine. The only people
it also just sounds right.
The Irish and certain and people from the north, I think. In Britain, they get away with it too. But yeah, I'm for Crazy. I don't think there's much really to talk about with Greyhound. I think they'll be, they're there. They get to sell the stickers. Congrats, but they're probably going to go 0-3. So the final question about the major is who's winning it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think we all think Liquid's going to win. I'd be surprised if anybody said anything else.
I'm going with Astralis, boys.
Are you?
Yeah.
You think Astralis is going to beat him?
Meet me in hell.
Okay, it's a tough one because I never like backing the favorites going into the majors because it's only like a handful of times that the favorite actually does it, and we thought Liquid could do it last time, and then they got wrecked by ends. I mean, they should have at least been in the final. Yeah, they shit the bed hard in Inferno. I kind of feel sure they're a very different team right now. They're super confident. They got that swagger about them. They clearly don't give a fuck anymore. Any chance of them choking or having mental problems kind of seems to not be there. But then I always think it could creep back in.
But it's a major though, It is...
Yeah, exactly. Different stakes, right? So I don't know why Astralis? Why not Vitality? Why not Na'Vi?
I just think Astralis mostly because I feel like their individual skill drop was the reason they were losing, not anything else part of their team. And they seem to tilt a little bit more. They have psychologists. They have a really good coach. All they really have to do is like spend more time scrimming, DMing, and playing FPL and stuff. If they get their skill back up, I see no reason why they don't win. They're like Liquid, but more refined, you know? So I know Liquid has more firepower, but, you know, everyone would, I think, would agree that Astralis does have better utility usage strats.
They did. I looked.
I don't think that's a given anymore, though.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
that's a given
actually
anymore.
kind of died off.
Liquid still plays more on the fringes of like taking risks, though. You know what I mean? Like Stewie does more crazy stuff. I mean, I guess Twist and Naf don't really do much of anything. They just kind of sit. But I don't know.
I think that's just Liquid playing to their strengths, though. I think that's just.
I'm not saying it's stupid or anything. I just more mean like. You put like a well-oiled Astralis out, and it's like a wall on CT. It's like really hard to like penetrate the sites. They don't really give you much room. That's just my opinion. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right or not. I'll probably be wrong. It's fine.
I just think it's going to be too hard for Astralis to come back in and just take over from Liquid now. Like I think Liquid. If they don't win this major, what I hate about it too is if they don't win this major, there's going to be idiots that say, "Oh, see, told ya, they were never actually that good." Like it's just
thinking about no.
Yeah, I know it's just the dumbest. Like if they get the semifinals and then lose to like Vitality or insert any team, there's going to be like, "See, I told you this isn't their era. I told you they're not actually that good." Like, it's just like, oh my god, like, please stop. You guys are so fucking stupid.
I can't deal with that as a prospect, honestly. That would fucking kill me.
So I need them to win the major. I need it.
Yeah, I always keep thinking, so at what point are Na'Vi gonna actually win a major for Simple?
Yo, I was talking to somebody the other day
about
it.
It has to happen at some point, right? Yeah. I think if they don't even, I think if they make the finals and lose again, which is a distinct possibility, I think that's when we tie Zeus off finally.
Look, I think Navi's making the semis of this major, and that's like controversial. So not necessarily controversial, but like people are like, really, like they look so bad. Like it's just Simple carrying. It's like sure, maybe, but I just think that they're gonna come into this event so prepared. And like a Na'Vi team coming in so prepared is a little bit different because every team's going to come in prepared. But if Na'Vi comes in prepared and you make all those other players around Simple even just step up 5% and you still have Simple, that'll be enough to take you into a semifinal.
But people got to realize though that Nico's been fucking owning people lately. Like this last month, dude, he's been grinding. I've been watching people's streams and stuff on and off. This dude's like 30-10, just like 1D'ing people with the swiftness. Like he's back. Like not that he was gone, but like he's back to that like prime Nico level, like the scary one where you're like, is Simple better than Nico? He's there, I think. So
I would love for FaZe like. The only team I will accept winning this major instead of Liquid is FaZe because then Neo can win the major and like finally retire and just be done.
Davey, like for real, a calloused hand job from me. If FaZe win this major, dude, real talk, dude.
That's the team I will accept winning. Like if FaZe wins, I'll be like, you know what, this is fine that Liquid didn't.
There's just no way. I mean, like Nico can grind all he fucking wants. He's still got to play with fucking Neo's washed up ass and fucking, Guardian is like still really, really good and still a top AWPer, but like just he's not taking over games like he used to and question marks about Olaf. So like I feel it's just too much to do. Like, it's not as bad as when like Nico had to carry when he was in Mouse Sports with Dennis and Spitty, but it's another personal hell. And I can't see FaZe doing anything at this major.
Yeah.
Right, I'll let you guys bounce. I know Corey's got to get his meal time in, and Davey's obviously got to do Canadian things.
Corey also has to do Canadian.
I'll get the EMP again. So
I just did all the Canadian things. I was in fucking Steinbeck.
So what we'll do is because we had viewer questions from the patrons, we'll do a holdover and we will do a special double up show because obviously Duncan's not here to answer them, guys. So but yeah, just before
He's right there.
Stop it.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad.
Well,
My bad. Yeah, I mean, me and Duncan, we're gonna just make a special question.
My favorite is
So-
all the people in the chat that aren't trolling, saying Duncan's muted. Like,
I know,
and then
right?
people who are
Laughing
here,
so
yeah, it's just stop.
The
Yeah,
bottom feeders in Twitch. Unmute him.
So just before I wrap up the show, guys, what are your plans? What are you going to be doing? Peakers Advantage. What's happening? Rep it, plug it, say.
Yeah, we're going to be doing weekly podcasts again. It's not going to be the old crew, though, because everybody's busy and having 4 hosts was too much to try to organize. Trying to get 4 people to sit down for 3 hours plus a guest every week was impossible. No matter how much we tried, it was just impossible. So we're going to have weekly podcasts as well as content at least 3 times a week. Probably Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the schedule that I'm looking at right now. And yeah, just go. Everybody who's interested in CS content, go follow it, subscribe, do whatever. I don't think you'll regret it. Anyways, I mean you might, but you can just unsubscribe if you do.
Be probably converting it to vanilla WoW, most likely. Comes out in
At
5
least a little
days. Right, is it 5 days? Probably more. So yeah.
All right. Well, look, again, obviously appreciate you guys coming on. And I'm sure I'll see you at some point during the No Majors Club, which we're going to start. Have no idea who's going to be joining us yet, so there's a few.
I'll be around.
Names out there.
I'll be watching every game. I'll be doing content all around the major. So
awesome. I reached out to like Steel and Fifth Lauren might swing by as well. So I'm gonna try and focus on getting like pros or
nip
pros.
drama.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, just sit there and talk about the nip drama as well. Right. So, shout out to obviously the sponsors. We said at the start of the show, it's been great having them on board. And of course, a shout out to all our patrons. That is our $100 patrons: Jerky's Minion, Detlef Insomniac, Reykjavik on Steam, and our $50 patrons: Benakagi Assassin, But Pounder 420, Carve, Daniel Sellers, Eski, Madsen, Marcus Kiumpar, Mike Feedme, Sard Sawar, TC Owens, and Tobias Bernasconi. That was by the numbers from all of us. And go and follow the Peakers Advantage guys. Make sure you support them. Take care, and we'll probably see you over the major. Until then, peace.